Serve's girlfriend. Yeah, Serve's girlfriend.
Whoa,
No, JJ's girlfriend may have seen me. Not that she would recognize me from anybody.
Donuts.
Well, because she works at that big store.
That big store, the big bookstore, the big books, the big store with words.
We went in there, but then again, I don't know how you find anybody in there. So,
no, I know. She'd be like, "Hey, your friend was there." Well, you know what? Serve doesn't even see JJ.
Yeah, I know.
It's like if I lived in Tampa, I probably wouldn't see you because you make a point of making sure I don't know where you live. I don't know. You're Sonia be like, "Oh, she'll take my dog."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there is that.
The best there is at what I do, and what I do is not giving a fuck.
So anyway, so what's new? What is new?
Nothing really. So well, when I went out there, they had like their hottest days they've had like in 10 years or something ridiculous thing.
Yeah, so what was it 80 or something?
No, it got into the 90s. It was 95 at one point.
Oh wow!
Actually, at one point when we were watching the forecasts, it had it at 100 degrees.
Whoa!
Right, I know, right? But it never did get that high. So, and it was only for 2 days. The rest of the days were fine out of the 7 that we were there. So,
oh okay. So what do you do when you're out there? What do you do? What's your thing?
We did a lot of hiking. We did some zip lining, shopping. Like I said, saw Serve on our last day there.
Did you go to that store that sells like 2 pins?
No. We went to the Portland Art Museum.
Oh.
That was pretty cool. That thing is pretty big. It's pretty large. My son, of course, was making fun of modern art.
Yeah. Did he touch anything?
Well, no.
That's what I would do.
I mean, he's got a good point. There were some things in there that were just basically, one was a cube. It was literally just a black cube, and that was it. He's like, but then I always just reminded him. He's like, "Oh, I could do that." And I said, "Yeah, but you didn't." So
there is that.
Yes, you can say that all day long that you could do that, but you didn't.
That's right.
So, there's actually kind of a cool exhibit there that they showed these kids who had never been to a museum, pictures from the New York modern. What's the one big
MoMA?
Yeah, I guess
Museum of Modern Art.
Yes, there it is. Showed them some artwork from there, and then had them recreate what they could remember.
Oh, cool!
And so there's like this whole floor with these kids' interpretations of what they remember of pictures they saw from the.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. So. So we did that. We walked down went down to the riverfront and went to Powell's, went to the Saturday market there that they have down on the riverfront.
Oh yeah. Oh hey, is that weird trash float still there? There's some guy living on some.
No,
it's like homeless guy.
It might be there, but I didn't see it. Oh, we did see a milk carton race. Milk carton boat race.
No way! Oh, do talk.
Which was basically all these. I think there's only like maybe 14 entries or something like that, but it's a part of their Rose, the Rose celebration or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Rose Festival. That's what it is. Rose Festival. It's like one of their last events that they do over the course of like month and a half or something like that. But what they do is they take old milk jugs or milk cartons, and you make boats out of them that you have to sit on and try to go from one end of this lake to another end of the pond, I should say pond. And the pieces that touch anything that touches the water has to be milk carton or milk crate. And so, they just had these different things that are.
So like the carton of milk crate or the plastic jugs?
You can use either, and people use both. So some people had them completely out of the cardboard.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Not plastic cardboard, but whatever it is. The
old fashioned.
The coated. Cardboard.
So how did they make those airtight?
I don't know. You just.
I'm gonna have to look this up now. Milk carton race. Milk. Did you go to any of the Portlandia places?
Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Some people are saying they didn't get the email. Damon. Okay. Hold on.
Milk carton boat race, Portland Rose Festival. Oh my God, they've been doing this since 1973.
Why is this taking so long to load? Mail and deliverable.
Oh, at Westmoreland Park.
Okay, see, Madman is not going to join us, and Widge did not.
He's running late. Might be
well, he said that he didn't get the link, which
I did.
Yeah, and so did Madman, because he wrote back to say that his back went out and he's still trying to get normal.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun. And let me see. Let me do the sent. Weekend Justice. Where'd it go to? JJ. Oh, yeah. Actually, oh no, there he is. No, that's Cosette. Okay, well that explains it. He's not on the blind CC part. He's on the 2 part. Yeah, he's right. He didn't get it. And I'll forward this over to him too. Forward to Widge. And dun, 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 dun. Oh, hey, Rob's here.
Hey.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Widge is here now too.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, Widge. So apparently you weren't on the send list. Everybody else was.
Oh, okay.
So whatever.
One of my mutant powers is the ability to just eventually fall off of mailing lists.
The best there is at what I do, and what I do is not giving a fuck.
I had that. Somehow I had a meeting yesterday, and I didn't know what time it was because all of a sudden I was signed out of Google, and I didn't know what time it was supposed to be. And I'm like,
I was confused. You said you didn't know what time it was, and I was like, you of all people don't have a watch? I assumed you had 3 or 4 pocket watches.
No, I don't.
Oh, wow.
I'm good that way.
Do you have any watches?
No, except for what's on my phone.
Do you have any swatches?
No.
I do.
I was too poor to
do?
collect those.
Yeah, but to be fair though, I bought them at yard sales like since the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many do you have now? Do you imagine? Two?
Yeah.
Are they collector's items?
Can you sell them for thousands of dollars now?
They're still in the cases, so yeah, probably.
Holy crap, really?
Okay, Rox, I've been waiting to tell you this for weeks. Are you ready?
Yes.
So I tried to call you, but you didn't answer the phone when I met David Byrne. So I showed him a picture of your bike at Dragon Con.
Yeah.
And I said, this is my friend Rox. This is her bike. She really wants to meet you in Jacksonville. And he said, well, I'm a very busy man. I said, well, I know, but she really wants you to see her bike. So I showed him a picture of the bike, and he said, keen.
Okay. All right. Wow.
So David Byrne thinks your bike is keen.
Yay.
The best I could do.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll take it. I'll take
Go to
it.
that show if it hasn't been there yet.
He'll be here it's in September. So yeah. I do like the new album.
The album's great. Most of the tour is the new album.
Yeah.
And his band is completely mobile. They're not stationary.
Oh, okay.
So like
what does that mean?
Yeah,
If they're touring, they would have to be mobile, wouldn't they?
Well, some of them are. A lot of bands these days are permanent installations, John. So that's why, and we've done that so that some bands don't go back out on tour. We just permanently install them somewhere with.
Robert,
No. Actually, I think
figure out how to do that with Poison.
No,
Oh,
Rob,
they keep
no,
escaping.
Rich. I'm thinking, Rob, is it? Remember, Patti LuPone was in a version of Sweeney Todd where everybody played instruments on stage.
Yeah.
So, isn't that what you mean,
Yes.
Rob? Yeah. So they're moving with their
11 musicians, 6 dancers. Yes.
Whoa, cool.
Wait.
Oh, okay.
So what you're telling us is the thing that you said we completely misinterpreted and twisted it to our own sick ideas.
Welcome to Weekend Justice,
Is
John.
that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Hope you survived the experience.
Okay.
That's how it works here in the big city.
Well, that's what this podcast is really all about.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Wait, I did.
And I don't know why I'm just popping some stuff onto the soundboard, and I have this clip, which I don't think I've ever heard, so I'm going to play it now.
Why don't you go have sex with my husband?
Wow.
I don't know what that is.
I know what that is, but I don't know what the context was.
No. I think we all know what it
Your
is.
pants.
We just have no context. Again, that's Weekend Justice.
I just want to say you all are very weird.
Yeah.
Okay, Sam the Eagle.
So
You're
Rock,
dealing with a fucking international cult of weirdos.
I know it's great. Hey, Rox,
Yes.
my favorite new patron at my new job.
Yeah.
This woman comes every time. She checks out books and reads my palm.
No way.
But that's not even the best part.
Oh God, what's the best part?
She talks to Mary Todd Lincoln.
Oh, wow.
Wait.
I thought you were going to tell us that she gets it right every time.
Hang on. She uses now. Is she using your palm to talk to Mary Todd Lincoln? Is
No.
your palm
Oh, I like that.
like a cup and string to Mary Todd Lincoln in the afterlife?
No. She reads palms. That's how she makes money. But she also talks to, unless they make her take her meds, she talks to Mary Todd Lincoln each and every Thursday.
Without fail. Hey, that's my line.
Yeah. And
Oh
she's
my God.
can be. So all I do.
Rob, were you the one that is your number area code? I'll just say the area code 440.
No, it was 314.
Huh. All right.
I might have tried to Facebook Live you too. I don't know.
Oh, man. Ah.
All right.
All right. It's all right.
One is I tried.
You did. No, I got a key and I'm good. I'm good. I'll stalk him when he's here.
Yeah.
But he won't listen to the show, so he wouldn't know that
Comes
that's
out
what I'm
an
doing.
hour after the show, and he's fans. He goes, okay. I'm glad to see you. One selfie, one autograph, and then he just goes through the line really quickly.
Wow. I'll make him sign the bike.
because he's going to get mobbed, right? The guy next to me goes, hey, you probably don't remember me, but I met you at, and David Byrne's like, you know how many people I meet? I just told him.
Wow.
Just turn around and look at the line behind you.
You know,
No, you're right. I don't.
Yeah, but this
you.
is Jacksonville. Nobody shows up for anything here. So, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rox, I have to admit, almost everyone listens to the show. I mean, everyone.
Everyone listens to it, yes.
But David Byrne.
Yeah.
Because he's very busy.
He's very I'm very busy.
He's very busy.
I'm a farmer.
Well,
I
he
gotta
might listen to this. If you tag it right, he might listen to this one.
Yeah.
I don't know. But much nicer and more
No, I
normal
think he
than
will.
I expected him to
I'm
be.
certainly positive he will. He was what? I'm sorry, Rob.
It was way more, you know, when you say, hey, I'm going to meet David Byrne, you think, you know, you have these sort of ideas in your head of like, okay, he's going to be really weird or really strange or just the nicest, normal, down-to-earth guy you could meet.
I'm like, how is he going to get out of the door of the you know, the concert hall wearing that big suit? I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
No, he wears shorts and like a, you know, fisherman hat. He looked like McLean Stevenson. It was really funny.
Wow. Okay.
It's like you got to give up the big suit eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah. Eventually. So was the concert good though? Was it really good?
It's probably one of the 10 best things I've seen.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing.
Like for the year or forever?
It's in my top 15 forever.
Okay.
Probably this year the best thing I've seen.
Okay.
It's also, I mean, I had a roll though because I saw a really good thing with the Teller version of Macbeth in Chicago.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And then I saw the Steppenwolf did a show called The Doppelgangers, where Rainn Wilson plays 3 parts. And that was great. And then I think what else we've seen. We've seen Courtney Barnett. I think that'll be good. So.
You said that the Teller Macbeth was awesome, but I hadn't heard anything else. Was it just him?
He's not in it. He directs it.
No, I got that. But I'm like, so was there any notable cast in it, or was just that he was directing it?
It's all the Chicago Shakespeare, so it's all like their people, right? Nobody really famous in it. What's interesting about it is it's more of a literal, contexted view of the play, in that it is not at all sugar-coated. You know, it is pretty much presented how if you were like the darkest person in the world, you would do this play, right? And it's very much, it's not a killjoy buzzkill type of thing, but it is very much a very straightforward, literal presentation with an emphasis on like the really darker aspects of people's characters. It's more of a character study that I've seen them do with it. And it really focused on the actual characters and the dynamics between them a lot more than it did just Macbeth. So, you know, but yeah.
That sounds awesome. I wish they would
tour that.
Well, tour it or do the National Theater Live thing and show it.
Did you like? I forgot to ask you because I know you saw it. Did you like the National Theater Macbeth?
It was okay. I mean, part of the problem was you're talking about the style of the presentation being more normal, quote unquote.
Yeah.
With this, they set it in like a vague kind of post-apocalyptic Scotland.
Okay.
So everybody, I mean, basically they just looked like they were wearing, you know, Macbeth's armor was like I did like this. It was like some kind of a plastic thing that they would gaffer tape to him. That was his armor. Because they have nothing. I mean, they have so that I kind of liked, but part of the problem is that the conceit for it. I mean, it's one of those things where, like the Ethan Hawke Hamlet, points for the conceit, but it kind of breaks down at a certain point. Yeah. And there were bits of it that I just I don't know, it didn't completely hold together. And it was sad because there are moments with because it's Roy Kinnear, right? There are moments with him that are just like, holy shit. But then there's a lot of other moments that are just like, I'm not even sure what I'm watching. So it was a lot like the Julius Caesar that they did.
Okay.
The same feel of it, which was there's a lot of the stuff in here that I like, but there's some stuff that just the good stuff is so good that the stuff that isn't as good kind of stands out even more, if that makes any sense.
Yes. Because I wanted to see it, but it was like very early in the morning. Right. It was noon. So it was noon the day after I had the Aldi's whiskey. So.
Oh, wait. So how is.
Oh, yes. Tell us about that.
Yes, please.
It's pretty amazing.
Really?
And if things go right, you may be able to try it. I'm working on it.
Oh, you rock.
I'm trying.
How?
I hadn't thought about getting John some, but maybe I will now.
Well, if I get some before Dragon Con, I'll just bring you some, John.
How'd you get any?
I have a friend of mine in England that was looking for some particular types of American candy. We swap stuff all the time because she gets paprika for Janet. There's certain type of Oreo cookies you can't get there, and you can't get Nutter Butters, right? You know, those little what I'm saying? If I say Nutter Butters, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. They don't have Nutter Butters over there?
Not like ours. We make them different.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I send that over and just a box of CDs that I don't want. And if I ever need anything, I say, okay, go to Aldi's, empty a box of whiskey into a carton, and home. And I'm waiting. So
nice.
And then I PayPal the money, and I'll send a thank you note, and we'll see.
Always send a thank you note.
Always send a thank you note.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the thing.
So
the thing
is it deal?
What I had though, because to be honest, I had one, and I'm grieving. So it's got more punch than you would expect a whiskey to have. I mean, it is very, very strong. It's sort of like one of those. You take your first drink, and it's like, oh man, wow, and then you're sort of caught in the crosshairs of like, wow, this is really strong, and then the smooth hits.
Ooh,
right.
Sounds good to me.
And it's like, oh man, this is and the second one doesn't hit you as hard. It's a little more mellow the second time.
Right.
But the first shot is like, oh man, it's like one of those when you drink a shot of whiskey and you shake your head, going, wow, that was pretty great.
Yeah,
one of those.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, the bastards, the library where I work at, they opened the St. Louis Whiskey Club across the street.
Wow.
Oh,
wow. I keep threatening to go there on my lunch hour, but it's that the people that are in it are all twats, but they have good whiskey. All lawyers and guys in suits that want to be cool. So
they are not cool. They simply want to be cool, and they try to supplement their coolness with cool whiskey.
Yes,
which I say is a pretty effective technique.
Yes. Yes. It's really amazing. It's really good. I should eat the paprika Pringles too, because those are actually pretty good too. They have all these crazy Pringles.
What? Paprika Pringles, really?
Oh my god, it's the best thing ever. It's really funny because I get a case of it every year, and Janet, it's gone in a day, and then she complains about getting fat, and I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Well, now I'm remembering. I got you a can of that for your birthday or Christmas one year, right? Because it was on your wish list.
It was on my wish list. It was on my computer desk when I was on my way to the ATM, and when I came home, about half of it was gone.
Nice.
And I said, "Where did this go?" And Janet said, "You know the gremlins that live under the sink?" And I said, "No." She's like, "The same ones that make your records disappear?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "They made up taking your Pringles." So yeah, but they're good. They have like a Thai. They have like a Thai flavored Pringles.
Oh my gosh,
They're amazing. They have a tzatziki sauce one. I got that in Scotland. That was pretty cool. They have like all these. They have like a chicken tikka masala flavored Pringle that's like pretty friggin' great. So yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I got a can of it at least off of American Amazon. So
Yeah, you can get it on American Amazon. There's a store in Chicago that sells them. So usually what will happen is I'll take Janet there first to get the paprika Pringles. And that way she's in a good mood for when I hit her with, "Hey, honey, we're going to Quimby's. See you tomorrow."
nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty great. I should bring some of that down too.
Yeah, the thing the thing that I want from the UK, which makes me sad that they don't sell here, and it makes no sense that they don't sell here, are the small, you've got the Cadbury eggs, the big ones, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's too much goo. There's not enough goo. There's not enough chocolate to goo for it to be good. It's like a diabetes grenade, right? However, if you eat the mini eggs,
mm-hmm.
those are perfect. That is the perfect ratio of chocolate to goo. Now, they have Scream eggs, SCREME eggs that they sell in Halloween, which are the big versions of the Cadbury eggs with like greenish goo in them.
Is this why everyone was asking me for Cadbury eggs when I was in Scotland?
Is this what?
When Janet and I went to Scotland, everyone kept asking us to bring them back Cadbury eggs. It's like we kept bringing back like a half a suitcase of Cadbury eggs, and I couldn't figure out why.
Well, but they sell them here. I don't know why. No, the ones I'm talking about, the mini Scream eggs, are the ones they don't sell here, but they have them in the UK. And I'm like, it's Halloween, and it's the perfect ratio of chocolate to unnecessarily colored green goo. Why would I not want that? Why can't I have that Cadbury or Nestle or whoever fucking distributes it here? You bastards. I just don't know. It's weird.
Yes.
It's like my favorite thing from the last government shutdown was somebody on Twitter saying, "Quick, Americans, import Kinder eggs. There's no one to stop you."
Yeah.
Yep. You can have all the AR-15s you want, but a Kinder egg that might have a toy you might choke on in it? Fuck no.
Sorry, man.
I just don't get it. Anyway. So, and the other thing, too, that they have over that you can sort of kind of get them here if you look for them is the, what we used to call the Marathon bar, but they call it a Curly Whirly over there.
Oh, yeah.
God, those
They're
are delicious.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's good things. You just have to seek them out. That, and of course, Jaffa cakes, which you can seek them out.
Jaffa cakes.
Well, we have the grocery store by our house has Jaffa cakes.
Yeah, High Road Ice Cream that's based here that make delicious ice creams. I just sent them a tweet out of the blue saying, you guys should really make an ice cream version of a Jaffa cake. And they were like, we had to look up what a Jaffa cake was. And I said, you've never had a Jaffa cake? Oh, to be you. Oh, to be you. I have half of mine just to drive up there and hand them a case of it and just go, Do this. Do it.
Do it now.
You'll thank me. What can you do? Although terrifyingly, speaking of ice cream, there are new exclusive. This is the well played, Walmart. This is the one thing that will get me to set foot in your store is exclusive Walmart Ben and Jerry's flavors. That's pretty much it.
People of Walmart flavor. What's?
Oh, that's harsh.
Well, what would it be? Tell me what is an exclusive.
Okay, they had. I think. I don't know if this one is exclusive, but they have pecan sticky buns. I'm not a fan of pecans in ice cream, but I got some of that for a cassette. I'm trying to find the. Oh, here it is. They're truffle ice cream. So, like for example, caramel chocolate cheesecake truffle ice cream.
Oh,
it is caramel cheesecake ice cream with graham cracker covered cheesecake truffles and chocolate cookie swirls.
Wow.
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I may have found a way to bribe your wife into helping me with something.
Oh God.
No. It's nothing like that.
Oh God.
No, I just need help with a kill.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
What, a kiln or a kill?
A kilt. I have threatened to do the Peter Capaldi Dragon Con panels in a kilt.
Oh God. Yeah, here you go. Chillin' the Roast truffle ice cream, cold brew coffee ice cream with chocolate cookie covered coffee liqueur truffles.
That's at Walmart?
And fudge swirls. It's a Walmart. From what I can tell, it's only an exclusive Walmart flavor. I haven't seen it anywhere else.
Walmart people won't buy that. It'll go to waste.
That's why we swoop in and get it. That's their plan, Rox. They want us to come to Walmart.
Now you saved me because
fuckers.
Who's your redneck in-laws? Every year get Janet and I gift cards to Walmart, so we are sitting on 10 years. And like we only use them like, oh, we need like a new plunger or we need like something for the house, right? Because we never go to Walmart, right? Now, if I tell her that, then maybe we'll go to Walmart.
Chocolate shake it truffle ice cream, chocolate malt milkshake ice cream with chocolate cookie covered fudge truffles and marshmallow swirls.
No, when I come down for Dragon Con, if they're still having them there, I'll bring a bunch of Walmart gift cards. And we can go, then that way technically we didn't spend any money there and our souls are still expunged.
I'm fine with that.
So
I had to pay good money to get my soul expunged last time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Now the truffle ones, they might not be exclusive flavors. I haven't seen them anywhere else, but the pecan sticky buns does say exclusive flavor on it. Now, here's the thing about this. I don't like pecans. I don't like nuts in ice cream. But the base for this is buttery brown sugar ice cream.
Ooh, brown. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They could just release that and I would be happy. But so the pecan sticky buns, buttery brown sugar ice cream with pecans, sticky bun dough, and a cream cheese frosting swirl.
You're a saint.
Oh, I don't like cream cheese frosting.
I don't either.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, that's okay.
It's okay if you're wrong. I mean, we all have to be wrong sometime, right?
Yes.
JJ's here.
JJ!
Sup?
Maybe.
You introduced
It's
me.
only a little bigger than my hand.
But-
See, I don't know where that sound came from, but it does sound like a lightsaber to me.
I didn't know I had one of those.
Sadly, everybody does, I think.
Oh my, Rob, did you see Bob McGrath is going to be at Dragon Con?
Really?
I did. Did you see that Gordon and the other guy are going to be there?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, they got Gordon, Luis, and Carol Spinney again, and Bob McGrath.
Oh, okay.
Rob, can we do a panel about Bob McGrath's singing career?
You know, the one time that I went to the World Trade Center and got kicked out was the night that Bob McGrath, we went to go see Bob McGrath and it was sold out. So we snuck in and we saw like 15 minutes and they kicked us out for sneaking in.
Oh my God, it's Bob. Oh, and Carol Spinney's coming. Yeah, Carol's showing up. Yeah. Wow, really? You could say I grew up on Sesame Street.
Yeah. I'm trying to get that one too.
Okay.
So it's a good thing I can't go this year, or I would just break into tears as if the Beatles had reformed, basically.
Yeah.
You would not be the only one breaking into tears if the Beatles reformed.
You what?
You would not be the only one breaking into tears if the Beatles reformed.
Oh, no. I mean,
No, I would probably be shrieking because two of them have been dead over a long time.
Oh my God, but Ric Flair is going to be there.
But he wouldn't be a good substitute for George Harrison.
No.
Ric Flair? Yeah, he would. He's flagrant. Low blow.
Yeah.
Woo!
Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
I have a dream.
We all do. Sometimes I feel like we're living in a nightmare. Yes, go on.
In a perfect world, you know what's better than you meeting Sylvester McCoy before Shag?
That always.
Having sex with Sylvester McCoy before Shag?
No. What if you met Capaldi before Shag?
Wait a minute.
Oh my God, Rob.
You're talking about shagging
No, his
Sylvester
friend.
McCoy
Shag.
before Shag. That's why
Well, yeah.
the guy's name is a verb to
John
fuck.
has a friend named Shag. Who's
I
very nice.
know Shag.
And this is running joke that John met Sylvester McCoy before him, and he didn't even watch Doctor Who.
I know. It was hilarious. I loved it.
Shag, I make it a point to say, "Have you seen John?" We tell around, "I'm looking for him," and he'll say, "Oh, or whatever, I haven't seen him." So, well, maybe he's hanging out with Sylvester McCoy.
Yeah.
It's like the joke that keeps on giving.
So is Capaldi showing up?
Yeah, Capaldi and Pearl Mackie.
Oh.
Now, if you can get Capaldi to dress up like Firestorm, even all the better.
Well, why would he dress up like Firestorm?
It's a Shag joke.
Oh, okay.
He's got the Firestorm fan website.
Okay.
I just tried to make a joke that like 3 people in the world would get,
We aim to please.
Well, you can get a picture with Peter Capaldi, and we could Photoshop it. We could Photoshop it so it looks like the top of his head is on fire.
Yes.
Because the top of his head is on fire.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't show that for just anybody.
Yeah, David Tennant's coming here to Portland, but the meeting him basically costs $100. So no.
Just hang out at the bar. You ever want to meet anyone, hang out at the bar?
I don't know that Tennant would feel comfortable hanging out in a bar in Portland. I mean, we're a Doctor Who city.
Here's the trick. He just makes it scruffy enough that somebody will be like, "Wow, you look just like David Tennant."
Oh, I get that all the time.
Yeah, I get that all the time. Use an American accent. Contact him, JJ. Tell him you got it for him.
Yeah.
Well,
tell him that idea.
And then people would probably just think he looked like Kilgrave, so that probably wouldn't help him either.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Dragon Con's also got Ian Ziering coming.
That would be hilarious. Let's see if he dresses up as Kilgrave and changes his features just a little bit so it looks like he's just a Kilgrave cosplayer.
Yeah. Yes.
Just go out in purple makeup.
Yep.
Yeah, you could just say, "Oh, that would be funny if he went for old school Purple Man." Good call. But no, you can just say, "I loved you in Bad Samaritan."
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Rob?
Yeah, he's great in it.
I'm like, what? Is he is really trying to get rid of this good guy image, I guess.
Well, he really likes to absorb himself in roles. He did a thing called The Prime Minister's Wife or something like that for PBS. It was on PBS, right?
Okay.
And worse than that in terms of like not acting, but in terms of like just being a complete prick in that than he is in any of his other stuff he's ever been in. He's just absolutely just mean in that, right? I mean, like, you completely forget you're watching David Tennant. You're like, God, this guy's a huge asshole. So he's good in that. He, I think, likes to play villains more than bad guys at this point, is my guess.
Villains more than bad guys.
Are good guys.
There's a difference between a villain and a bad guy. Don't you know that, Widge?
Sorry.
God.
I never got a chance
See,
to.
I'm a villain, but I'm not a bad guy.
Yeah.
Right, JJ?
Remember,
you're a bad person.
I never could take your 500 level course on villainy, Rocks. The schedule wouldn't match up.
That's right.
I just know that I'm the antagonist of my own story.
That seems to be going around this podcast.
So should we look at the agenda?
It's not an agenda!
Oh, agenda.
Basically nothing on that non-agenda agenda.
Word.
I just bought my tickets to Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah.
Have you seen it yet?
July 2nd.
Oh, okay. The pre-previews have been positive.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I think that that starts the same time as "Won't You Be My Neighbor," so that will be the movie that I just sort of sit and cry from the beginning.
You're gonna cry. It's really good.
Yeah, that's already playing.
Won't You Be My Neighbor? Wasn't that? I thought that was already out.
It is
out here.
Yeah, it's out here too.
Ours,
Yeah,
well,
it's my
my little local theater around the corner from our house.
Oh, okay. Because here in Tampa, Pam Bondi got yelled at on her way into see that film.
Footage. I loved that footage so much.
So good. They do have an American.
Pam Bondi sucks.
They do have an American Masters on Fred Rogers though that came out this year too. That is almost as good as "Won't You Be My Neighbor." But yes,
actually, all you have to do is go onto YouTube and see the 12-hour just audio interview with Fred. That is just amazing. It's just like, they set up a camera and said, let's just talk and we'll talk till you're done for the day and come back. And it's like 12 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I think there's Mr. Rogers and Me about the guy who his mom had a summer home next to Fred Rogers. Yeah. He was an MTV producer. You can find that on
YouTube.
Hulu or something.
There was a parody porn of the same name. Mr. Rogers in Me.
Oh,
yeah, don't.
I did specify it was parody.
Yeah, but there's just even I have limits of like taste and decorum.
So I probably shouldn't go on to make a Ben and Me joke. Got it.
Make a Ben
or a Mac and Me joke.
Yeah, but Ben and Me involves a mouse.
Yeah. Were Tom and Jerry available?
Starring Richard Gere.
That would be a weird thing for Michael Jackson to provide a soundtrack to. I'm just saying.
I didn't even think about that, Ben.
Nobody had
a little bigger than my hand.
But
warning.
Somebody.
John, did you watch the season finale
of
Westworld?
No, I have not. I was as we were saying earlier, JJ, and I.
That's right. Yeah, go on.
We're not supposed to tell JJ. I was in Portland this past week, but I did not let you know purposely, because I didn't want you to feel obligated to see me or anything like that. So
yeah,
that's the only reason. The only reason why I didn't say anything. Although I kept looking to see if I could find you somewhere. But
what days were you here?
In Portland proper, because we actually went to Wasugal on the Washington side of the Columbia, or the Columbia, right? Columbia.
Mhm.
What's the big river? The big river that separates two states is Columbia. We were there proper on Friday and Saturday, basically.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, on Friday and Saturday, I would have been working all day, so that's fine.
And
All right, good.
those were the days, by happenstance, that I could have been in Orlando. But
Oh, why weren't you in Orlando?
Well, Jen had to go to Orlando for work. She's still there. But one, I had the new job, so taking 9 days off was not really going to be kind of frowned upon.
Say, I have this convention to go to.
Well, I've already tried that once. Yeah, outside of, the 3 days at Disney World, what else am I going to do in Orlando?
Sweat down your butt crack?
You can do that here.
Yeah, okay.
If you got here
And-
last week, you could have done that here. Ugh.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was just about ready to say that exact same thing. You also could do that over in Washington, Oregon this past week.
My stupid sister in Phoenix was calling me, telling me that it was cooler in Phoenix than it was here, which is really, really depressing.
Oh well, we stopped off in Phoenix on our way back, and then because Google, well, I mean, it was just at the airport, but because Google, recognized that I was there, as we were leaving, it gave me an alert saying, "Hey, tomorrow it's going to be 111 degrees, 4 degrees warmer than it is right now." I'm like, okay, so it's 107.
Wow. John,
and actually, my daughter went to order some Coke, and she said, on the plane, she said, "Oh, no ice." And the plane's like, "We loaded it in Phoenix. You probably want to get some ice in this thing, even if it's out for like 2 seconds. It's boiling."
You know what's great about Phoenix?
That you can fly through.
What is good about Phoenix?
Nothing.
Only lizards live there.
Taliesin West is pretty cool. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, so we were going from Portland to Phoenix to get that was our transfer spot, and we were flying Southwest, so we get seat yourself. We're in there pretty early, and my wife and 2 kids, it's 3 and 3 seating. They sit on one side, and they're like, "Oh, you sit over here," but there's a guy that was sitting in the middle. Well, first of all, we were in the A boarding group, and if you know anything, why is somebody sitting in the middle on the A boarding group?
Yeah.
That's the first question. But then when I looked down, I saw that he was on what the heck is the name of it? He was on an alt-right news site. So I went, yeah, I'll just go ahead and sit one row back. Thanks. I don't want to sit next to you and deal with all this nonsense. Which is weird because he's leaving Portland, right? So doesn't exactly fit, except he is going to Phoenix. So, and he did get off there.
And things are so messed up right now. There's a group here called Patriot Prayer that's I read an article today that they're building basically a hate group that's sort of on the outskirts and building a larger influence inside the town as well. And I can tell you personally, in the last 6 months, I have seen more like racially oriented confrontations.
Mm-hmm.
I actually heard somebody use the term N-bomb lover recently.
What?
And I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I thought that term was gone in the 70s at the latest.
Oh boy. So
Yes.
if they take over Portland, what hope is there for any of us?
I know.
My hope is honestly that one of the things that is sort of a weakness of Portland is that it is not as racially an integrated town as other places I have lived. So my hope is that there are other places that maybe are more integrated and more and less susceptible to that kind of thing is my hope. But no, basically right now the world is a trash fire on top of a mountain of shit.
Yes.
Pretty
That's
much.
a very, very profound way of putting it.
I may have just labeled a podcast with that phrase.
I think so. You gotta
That's-
win.
That's definitely a contender.
Although I called it poop on my Facebook feed because I didn't want to offend too many people.
Speaking of which, what do you call it? Walking Dead is spiraling out of control.
That's
I thought it had.
You thought it had spiral out of control?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's two things that piss me off about all the stories on Walking Dead. One is everyone saying, well, that the decision that, because basically, spoilers for anyone who hasn't read the comic or seen the television show, you're fine. At the end of All Out War, which I will give the television show credit, it lasted about 6 years shorter than the one in the comic did. The comic one went on for, it felt like years. I mean, like decades. It was terrible. But basically, there's this whole thing where everyone's saying, well, and Scott Gimple, the showrunner at the time, said that they killed Carl to make Rick sparing Negan's life make sense.
Huh?
Because it makes no sense in the comic, which is fucking ridiculous because in the comic, he says it on the same page he spares his life. He's basically like, no, he tells the doctor, save his life. He gets to live and see us succeed, is basically what he says. He says it better than that because Kirkman put more thought into it than I just did. But that's basically what he said. So I'm like, oh, we had to do that to make it make sense. It already made sense, you fuckwits. So that and between, I mean, if you look at Lincoln and Lauren Cohen, who's also rumored to be leaving, they've been there since the beginning. Well, for Lincoln, first of all, they just basically killed his character's reason to be there. And second, everyone is looking at, say, like, Deny in Black Panther and Infinity War and going, I need some of that shit.
Yeah.
I'd much rather be, that looks much more interesting than what we're doing. So, and part of the problem is if they had had any sense, they would have been planning for, they would have known at some point, we're not going to be able to keep these people forever. We need to kind of be juggling a way to let them exit if they want to / we need to let them go. You know? Yeah. But they haven't. And as a result, I think they're looking at, I mean, the rumors are, they're looking at Norman Reedus taking over as basically the lead of the show. And I like Daryl. I think Norman's great, but he's not the leading character of that show. Just like Michonne is not the leading character of that show. They work best in supporting roles just because that's basically how their characters have been set up. And the whole, spoilers for Fear the Walking Dead as well. The whole idea that they were going to merge the two shows at one point and let what's-her-face, the lead from Fear the Walking Dead, take over. Ha! She's dead too. So I don't know what the fuck they're going to do.
The other thing that's been it feels like a miscalculation to me on the show, because I stopped watching a while ago.
Yeah, me too.
Is just the fact that when you are reading something, you can handle never-ending misery more than if you're watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a long-term story in a comic where it's like, awful and awful and awful and awful, but it's only 22 pages and it's a comic and you're reading, even a book, if you're reading a really depressing book, you can kind of step away from it. But when you are in it and you've invested in the characters and everything, when you're watching it like that, it just after a while they've got to have more victories or that show.
Yeah.
So when they killed, spoilers for a couple of years ago, but when they killed Glenn in the comics, you're like, oh, well, that sucks. But when they killed Glenn on the show, you're like, well, there's the fucking joy.
Yeah.
Well, and part of the problem is that, and this is what honestly soured me on the show, is that they brought him back. It's like you gave me the incredible catharsis of, because that episode in which he quote unquote died is some of the best horror television I've ever seen. And the reason is it always bugs me that in horror and in thrillers, because as I've talked about before, a lot of horror is just thrillers, but especially in horror, people die because they make stupid decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I always long to see something where you make all the right decisions, but you're fucked anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that episode in a nutshell. They did nothing wrong. They did everything right. And yet at the end, Glenn looked like he was dead. And I will never forget. I just slumped down on the couch and said, well, I hope, I hope, God, I'm blanking on the actor's name, but I hope he's got a good gig coming up. And then when the rumors started about, he might still be alive, I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, because that destroyed me. Now, I agree that you can only take so much misery, but the very fact that they had been, that everyone, it's like everyone knew that in the comic, Glenn dies at Negan's hands.
Mm-hmm.
If they had basically faked you out by saying, nope, he's gone ahead of time, when everyone had been waiting for that moment, because through that whole episode, I'm like, wait, they can't kill Glenn because Negan's gonna kill him.
Right.
But if they had done that and stuck to it, it would have been like, let me applaud the size of your testicles, guys. I mean, well fucking played. You know what I mean?
And then for the fuck of it, Negan could have taken Rick's hand.
Yeah, but I get why they didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's a pain in the ass to have to basically CG out his hand. You'll notice when Herschel lost his foot that, a lot of the shots don't show Herschel from the knees down. There's certain, again, talking about comics versus television, there's certain things you can do in comics that are a hell of a lot easier in television, like having a baby.
Or having less to draw.
Oh, yeah, there is that. There's
magically having the character change clothes and not have to show a scene of Rick trying to even button a shirt with one hand missing. No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Well, but it's like, you can have when it was revealed that Maggie was actually really pregnant, and I understand she's been pregnant on the show for roughly 3 years now.
Seems that way.
But basically, I'm like, you've got to be fucking joking. They've just gotten done with, baby, what's her name? Judith, I think it's right?
Yes. Yeah.
So they finally got rid of baby Judith, and they're going to bring another baby on the show when babies are horrendous to have in real life, much less on a set. And so I'm like, really? Seriously? When I still maintain that you should have kept, if you're gonna basically go this direction, you keep Glenn alive, right? You don't do the magic dumpster, which is now, I mean, literally, there's a point in Star Wars where you could say recently a character, shall we say, died and fell, and I said, don't worry, he's going to land on the magic dumpster. He'll be fine. I couldn't resist saying it. Everyone around me started laughing because we were all like, yeah, it's such bullshit. So I'm like, don't let Glenn die there. Don't let Maggie be pregnant. Have Negan kill Maggie instead, which would have faked everyone out. And then Glenn, I mean, it's like when Glenn is in Woodbury and goes apeshit and takes out that zombie after he's been like duct taped to a chair, I was like, holy shit, this is not comic Glenn. Comic Glenn was a lot meeker than this. This is an interesting Glenn. I like this Glenn. So I like the idea of Glenn's the one who's in charge of the hilltop. Now you've got a person that you could potentially turn into a lead character. And
also, in terms of just again looking at television, I have a friend who's an Asian American. That one of the reasons he really liked Glenn is Glenn was one of the few like heroic Asians on television who got the girl.
Right.
And so by taking that away, you made the world of The Walking Dead smaller and more like everything else.
Right.
So even killing Maggie would have kind of been sad because you were letting this one character, a character archetype who never has a happy ending, have a happy ending of a sort.
Right. But I'm like, at least then you've got the fake out, and you get to see Glenn go in a completely different character direction.
You could have gotten the same thing by killing Rick then too, though.
Yeah, but I mean, part of it is I think to make the war work at all, you've got to have Rick versus Negan, because unless you've built up another character to take Rick's place at that point, which kind of makes me sad we still don't have Shane. I mean, I was so sad to see Shane go because they kept him around longer and got to do more interesting things with his character.
Aren't they saying he's coming back though?
He's probably going to be in some kind of. I'm anticipating it's some kind of dream sequence for when Rick dies.
Oh, okay.
Because Rick's going to die. They're not going to leave a way for him to come back because he's not going to want to come back. He's going to hopefully take a year off because God knows he deserves it. Because holy shit, no matter what horrible writing they have thrown at that character, he has acted his ass off and tried to make it work as best he could. So he needs to take a year off and then take some awesome role in something. I don't fucking care what. But
Love Actually 2? The Stalker?
Love, no, seriously. That would be the name of the sequel. Love Actually 2, Love Harder. But yeah, I mean the problem is they've misused so many great characters that you could have had step up to be the leader, right? I mean they screwed up Tyrese from the get-go. He would have been an awesome leader. I mean, in the comic, he's like an ex-NFL player, and Michonne actually recognizes him. But he wasn't anybody in the thing. He was like, he started off in Woodbury and again was like meek up until almost when he died. Well, they did let him do Hammer Time once because they knew they had to get that in before they killed him. Otherwise, we all would have rioted. But it wasn't as good as in the comic.
In the comic, though, where he takes out a whole like gym. Well, it was like he goes into like the gym or something in the prison. It's filled with walkers, and he goes in there. You think to commit suicide?
Oh no! That's he. Now, granted, he is flailing at it like crazy because he's fucked in the head. But they were clearing out the prison, and they were all going into the gym. They got overrun and retreated. He did not retreat, and they had to shut the doors because otherwise they were going to be fucked. So it wasn't that he read it. Yeah, he wasn't in there specifically to commit suicide. He was just having one of those moments where you go, fuck this nonsense, and just went in flailing. And when they finally opened the doors, he's sitting in the middle of the room on a pile of fucking zombies, having wasted all of them. And it's amazing. It's such a great moment. That's Tyrese. And instead in the show, they were trying to run away from zombies out in the wild and left him behind. And then he showed up and he had hammered them all. It's like, really? That was your hammer time? Oh, for fuck's sake. So, but you had Tyrese, you had Andrea, which they screwed up. Hell, I was really looking forward to Abraham being around longer. He could have been an interesting character. Or you basically have characters who are basically sharing the leading role between them, so it's not the Rick Grimes show. And Rick Grimes and friends. That's not what it is. But it really wounds me because they had such an opportunity, and they talked about this from the beginning, to have a show that kept going despite losing actors. I mean, basically if you had Doctor Who and you didn't do anything to set up the fact that he could regenerate until like 5 minutes before he was supposed to regenerate for the first time. By the way, I can do this. So it makes me sad because they could have totally set this up properly, and they didn't. And as a result, it's probably going to go. I would anticipate it might go 1 or 2 seasons after Rick leaves, and then they'll cancel it, assuming they have something else to take its place, which I don't know if they do or not. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the only other thing they got going on right now, I mean, they got Humans came back and Preacher, and I don't see Preacher doing the numbers or Humans doing the numbers that Walking Dead still does, even though
I thought that went away. I didn't care for
which
that.
one?
The Preacher.
Humans
Preacher's coming back for a third season.
What's that?
Preacher's coming back for a third season. You can already.
Third season's already started.
It just started last weekend.
It apparently, I've heard good things about it, but I just can't because the first season kind of broke me. Again,
obviously not in a good way.
No, not in a good way.
I watched the first season. I thought it was interesting, and I thought that they got some of my problems with the comic series out of the way. The end game, the first season kind of made impossible, so it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. But by the same token, I didn't watch the second season, so I mean that's not the most ringing endorsement.
Right. Well, I mean, my 2 problems with the first season for people who haven't seen it, I'll cover your ears. Basically, at the end of the first season, the town that he's in, everyone dies.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. So I'm like, you've established these characters. And first of all, the idea that everyone would fucking flip out if there's no God is dumb. Because a lot of people would, I'm sure. But to flip out the way they did, that's dumb and lazy. And so this entire town dies, and none of our 3 leads bat an eye. It's like, I can understand if like somebody got gunned down or whatever, but like an entire town blew up. You cannot not address that. So I felt like it's the prequel to the series that I never asked for.
And to make it even weirder, the plot line they used, they did kind of lift from the comic in a lot of ways, but it would have been like the plot for season 5.
Yeah, because I mean that's where the Meat Man was, right?
Yeah.
Which was kind of fine, and they did some things right, like the 2 angels. The Sundowner Hotel fight is the most Garth Ennis thing I've ever seen on television, and if you want to see Preacher done properly, find that on YouTube, watch it. You're good. Don't watch anything else. You're good. Even though Cassidy's awesome, you're good. That fight was hilarious. Okay? Hilarious and wrong and terrible, like all good Garth Ennis stuff is.
Yeah.
And they even, with the Arseface thing, they even fixed their problem of, because in the comic, he's talking to a figure that is obviously John Wayne, and you never see his face. Now, talking about comics versus television again, that's not going to work on television. So they give him Arseface as a character that I assume, unless they completely threw that out the window as well. But that looked to me like they were setting that up because Jesse will talk to someone who isn't there. And so that's Arseface. But they also did stuff like Ruth Negga as Tulip. They gave her nothing to do for the entire first season. Her opening gambit, where she went in and basically got 2 kids to help her make a rocket launcher. I mean, that was right out of Rox's playbook.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, if this is Tulip, I can't fucking.
Yeah, that was a cool scene. That was a cool scene. I like that.
But that
totally
was it.
Forgot about it. Yeah, totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Basically, the rest of the time she was sitting around waiting for Jesse. And I'm like, okay, I appreciate that she's in love with Jesse, but the woman who got 2 kids to help her make a rocket launcher and then said, stay down here in the basement, I'll be right back.
Yep.
Would not have waited for an entire season for that guy to show back up.
Right.
But I mean, honestly, the best thing about the show is Cassidy from the first season. He's fucking great.
The first scene of him on the plane was pretty awesome.
Yes. Oh, that's what was so sad is I'm like, okay, this is obviously, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of World War Z. In that, I knew from out the starting gate, it was clear this was not the source material, and I was fine with it. But then, shortly afterwards, I realized, oh, this isn't the source material, but it's very shitty. So I am disappointed.
Has anybody seen, I've only watched the pilot episode, but has anybody seen any of the Cloak and Dagger series?
Oh, I want to see that.
I've watched the first 30 or 40 minutes only, and I didn't stop because I hated it. I stopped because I want to make sure that, this was something I would watch with my family. Of course, it's on Freeform, so it's ostensibly family friendly, but I just want to make sure it was any good. But the 30 or 40 minutes of it, I said, okay, this is really good. I'm gonna hold off on this.
Yeah, I only watched the pilot because I don't have cable, so it's a matter of finding stuff.
Right.
So
it obviously must be legally acquired.
Exactly. It's saving up money to buy things on iTunes. But no, I was really impressed. I liked the fact they changed the location from New York to New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And not just because I love New Orleans.
And because they probably got tax breaks to do it there. Right.
But it gave it a different feel. And I liked where they were going with it. I'm intrigued to watch the rest. I never watched any of Hulu's The Runaways,
which I still need to watch.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. It diverted from the comics in general. I mean, the overall story is still there, but they dive more into the adult's life than they do in the comic. But it was actually, I thought it was really good. There are parts where it was sort of the acting was, the dialogue was sort of forced, but for the most part, it was really good.
Do they still have the storyline of there being a mole? Or a someone in the group of kids that may or may not be working against them to try to keep it away from spoilers?
Let me think about that for a second. That has not come out directly, no.
Okay.
Haven't rolled it out.
At this point. They left it basically... So as I recall in the comic, and I have to go back and reread it to be 100% sure, but like in the first 5 episodes of that, or 5 issues of that rather, they've pretty much taken off at that point. And actually, may even been the first couple of.
I think they leave their house in like the 2nd or 3rd episode. Yeah, because the ending of the
clothes, right,
is the big reveal, and then it takes like an episode for them to like talk to one another, and then like the next, I keep saying episode, but like by the 3rd issue they're on the road, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
right. The whole entire season was up until the point where they left, and in fact you really don't even know what's going on probably until like I think it might have been 10 episodes long, until like maybe the 6th or 7th. Like I said, they spend a lot of time on the adults and giving the adults a lot of backstory, because the big star is not Jason Priestley, but the other guy, Luke Perry, and a couple of other stars of that sort of caliber.
So Luke Perry's in that and Riverdale? Huh.
No, sorry, not Luke Perry. No, Luke Perry's not in Riverdale. That's the other guy, isn't it? It's Jason, whatever his name is.
No.
What's that, Rob?
Yeah, it is Luke Perry.
In Riverdale? Oh, yeah, he's in Riverdale. Who am I thinking of that's in... Maybe he is. Maybe he is in both of them. Maybe my wife made that point at one point, going, "Why is he in so many things all of a sudden?" I'll have to look that up while we talk. But they spend a lot of time doing their background, doing a lot of family adult stuff, and basically the Gibeon, what each of the parents are famous for, and none of them are. And spoiler for anybody who has not read Runaways, but I'm trying to recall, the parents died in the 3rd issue, didn't they?
No, the parents are around.
I could have sworn that they died. I could have sworn when the whole big monster thing came out.
They might have died. Okay. Maybe I should also reread. I thought I remembered them being alive.
They might be alive. It's very possible. It's been a while. I read it, eons ago at this point, probably, and then picked it back up again and read up through Jaws' run of it, and then I stopped reading it after that. So my memory is a little shaky on that. But the point is it's not until the final, after 10 hours of the show, do they actually head out on their own, and there isn't a big explosion or anything like that yet.
It's basically the entire series of the Runaways before the Runaways run away.
Correct.
Gotcha.
So anybody watching is going, why are they calling the Runaways? I don't get this.
So I think who you were confusing it with was James Marsters.
Thank you. You are correct.
But it does. I see what you're talking about. The known actors, be they good or bad, are definitely the adults, because you've got Julianne McMahon, who was the worst Doctor Doom ever.
Yes.
And you've got Kip Pardue.
Bad. So
yeah, Kip Pardue, who has been playing a douche for forever.
Mm-hmm. So they're and weirdly enough, it's the kids that have a better well, I guess not weirdly, this is the way it should be, are seemingly the better actors in this particular thing. And they get them the better dialogue. The adults are sort of a lot of exposition.
Well, pretty much still, anytime you hear James Marsters talking in an American accent, you're like, stop faking. I don't care if you were born in Iowa.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite bits of Legion, which I still haven't watched the second season of. But when Stevens who's of course British, his character's American, but he has an alter ego inside his own head that is British, and makes fun of his own accent, basically. I'm like, nice. Which they kind of have done at one point. In the episode that Tyrese dies in Walking Dead, Andrew Lincoln does a cameo as a radio announcer from the UK using his actual voice. And you'd never have recognized it.
And while we're speaking of Andrew Lincoln real quick, because we mentioned Love Actually, if they do make a Love Actually 2, can we at least fix the one plot point about Andrew Lincoln that makes no sense? The way that film is done, there is no way he is in love with what's her name. He's in love with Chiwetel Ejiofor, and the tape when she finds it should have been nothing but shots of him, because he stares at Chiwetel Ejiofor with the love in that film. He just, like, you can tell he loves him. I think it feels to me like they filmed it that way, and then somebody went, no, you can't have that reveal. He has to be in love with what's her name.
And in fact, when the first time I watched, because I do watch that film probably once a year.
Oh, it's a great film. in a lot
It's
of
a
ways.
good film. Yeah, in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, it's also really cheesy and really stupid.
Oh yeah, Alan Rickman story gets me mad every time.
But in the reveal that he's in love with her, the whole time, when the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, it's gonna turn out that he's been in love with his best friend for all this time, and she's gonna find that out. And no, and then it finds out that it's her. It's like, you're right. It does not make any sense.
It's not the way it was played, and it
But
just
then again, guys, does anything about love make any sense?
yes,
Actually,
it does.
Really? When did that happen?
Actually, oh boy.
Sorry.
Well, and it's also the way that they played it, and even though and it's still unclear to me, even after like maybe my 8th viewing of that film. What's his nose? Bill Nighy's character,
Right.
His love for his manager is just a dude love, right?
Yeah.
That's what I took it as.
Dude Love, who was Mick Foley, but yeah.
Because I was like, I thought when he gives that one speech to him about, I thought that he was about to kiss him at that point too. So I don't know. Maybe I have no idea what's going on in the world.
No, it's the only one that stayed in his life, and it was consistent. It was his base, So
he was his penny.
Yeah. Yes. In the guy way. Yeah.
Somebody, some executive watched that film and went, yeah, it's a great film, but take out all that queer stuff.
Yeah, that's why I feel like that might have happened.
No, I understood what it was.
By the way, I'm still trying to figure out what what's his name, the whole porn thing is doing in that film.
The stand-ins for the porn?
The stand-in things. I'm like, this is just because you wanted to have some naked lady on there. Have
I think so.
Martin Freeman, not Martin. Yeah, what's his name? Martin.
Yeah, it's Martin Freeman.
Yeah, just look like he's screwing some lady on camera. Is that all you wanted? Because otherwise, the rest of this makes no sense.
Well, that's the kind of thing where you just figure that Martin Freeman at one point lost a bet. I would guess.
But all in all, it's a good film.
No, it's fun.
Heavily flawed, but it's
I've only seen it once. That's it.
I've seen it more than once, but it's been a while.
It's 87 different films, so some of them will be okay, some will be bad.
Well, the interesting thing about going back to the Andrew Lincoln thing is, again, it would make more sense him standing outside with those cards for his I forget what the character's name is, but you know what his actor's name is. I can't remember it either.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Thank you. It would make more sense that he would have had those cards made for him than for her.
Mm-hmm. And I love Chiwetel Ejiofor, and I'm a straight.
I can understand why.
I fell in love with that man when I first watched him in the Serenity film.
Yes. Oh God, he was so good in that.
He's
good in everything. There's nothing he can do.
He's great in everything. Kinky Boots, man. He has not done anything bad.
No.
He's part of the reason why I've watched Doctor Strange so many times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, he's good. I'm looking forward to the sequel to that.
Do we know, is he the big bad in the sequel?
Yes.
Is he? Is that confirmed?
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
It makes sense.
That is believed to be the natural path of it, but yes.
I mean, I've been burned before. See, what's his name? Ring guy.
Oh, what, Mandarin?
Mandarin, thank you.
Well, what they're going to tell you is they're going to tell you it's Baron Mordo, but the actual main villain's going to be Fin Fang Foom.
Well, at this point, they can get away with it, right? So, because Marvel has eased all of the viewing public into a sense of anything is possible at this point. And if you think about it, we've talked about this 1,000 times, but if you think about it from the original Iron Man, which is very practical for the most part, into where we are today, the cosmic and everything, and the mystical and everything, they've done a good job of things that if you tried to put Doctor Strange out first, everyone would have gone whatever.
Yeah.
If you tried to put out Guardians of the Galaxy first, everyone would have gone whatever. But the fact that they eased everyone into this world where any of this is possible, yeah, I can see that. I can see that them fighting a big old dragon.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back on this podcast a number of years, you'll hear us going, I don't know if Thor's going to work in the same universe with these other characters.
Right.
You know, and then Thor came along and it was just muscular men crying about their daddies. And it was
because I was the one saying, oh, I always hated Thor comic, but movie Thor is
and
easy on the eyes.
by putting him, making him, humanizing him on Earth, and then, you know, slowly pushing everyone back into the mystical again.
Well, and I think that basically the thing is, I think Guardians would have worked regardless because it was just a fun movie. And I think Doctor Strange would have worked on its own. The whole thing is, by placing them where they did, they were able to make them part of the universe of the MCU and make it make sense. Now, if you'd done Guardians first or Doctor Strange first and then tried to do Iron Man, I don't think that would have worked. So that's what I think is, I mean, they weren't thinking of that, obviously, at the point where they were doing, where they were thinking, okay, we're going to do Iron Man and the Hulk because we can, and then we'll just hope that we don't fuck it up. Yeah, at that point, they were not going, well, Guardians would be great.
Well, yeah, because nobody in their right mind was thinking Guardians of the Galaxy would ever be a movie.
Right. Just like they weren't going back if they weren't thinking, Ant-Man needs a movie. Ant-Man.
And yet that fucking thing worked.
Right.
I'm like, I just want to throw ideas at them and see what they can make not work. You know, it's like, okay, you know, DreamWorks had the rights to Mort the Dead Teenager. Who has it now, smart guys?
Who has Matter Eater Lad?
That's DC.
Warner Brothers.
Oh, it's DC.
So yeah, Warner Brothers.
So he'd be eating dark matter.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Wow. It's funny because it's true.
I was trying to explain. So my girlfriend has not watched anything since Man of Steel, with the exception of Wonder Woman, which I always forget is a DC movie because it feels so different than everything else.
Because it's good.
But I was trying to explain to her how, of the DC movies, Justice League is probably my favorite, but it's also, you know, the creme of the crap. But there is a sequence in it that just feels so strange to me because Superman laughs, and it completely works against the character we've seen for 3 films at that point.
It would work fine in an actual movie.
Yes, I was going to say, if you include the original Superman, then it makes sense. But you're right,
and it's a great humanizing moment for him. But unfortunately,
well, the Christopher Reeve Superman would have never let his father get sucked up by a tornado. So let's,
right.
I can't go back to that. Ever since that moment, I can't go back to that Superman. I don't care what they do.
Well, and the problem is, and what's sad about that is that is one of Kevin Costner's best roles in like a long time.
I agree.
I loved him in that.
I do too.
And I think you could have had the same character and not such a dark movie, because I absolutely loved when, you know, he was giving him shit about saving the school bus. Said, should I just let him drown? And his dad was like, maybe. I don't know. You know, because I'm like, that is an actual honest answer.
Yeah.
It's like one of the bits in Infinity War, which I love, is Tony on the ship basically admitting, I have no idea what to fucking do now.
Yeah.
For 6 years I've been preparing, wasn't ready for this.
Didn't think I'd be the one going back into space.
The other thing that's weird about those Kevin Costner scenes in Man of Steel, there's only one, thank God.
Well, they
could make Metal Men later.
God damn it. So they keep, every time they establish the farm as in a flashback scene, they show these signs of it being sort of rural and poor. So there'll be like a shot from the grass where they have like bottles on sticks to be like yard decoration, or like a weird angle of laundry. And every time they show those shots, I'm like, shit, this is something out of a zombie film. This is a Rob Zombie film. Like, there are Rob Zombie establishing shots in the Superman film. And so I kept, like, the back of my brain kept expecting something sinister, but not the film Sinister. That movie was shit.
You did get something sinister. His name was Zack Snyder.
Yeah, his name was Superman. Go figure. Or as my girlfriend said when we watched the film, there was a shot that Lawrence Fishburne says when they're in the middle of like the big shit pile in the end, and Lawrence Fishburne went, "He saved us," and my girlfriend laughed and she was like, "Yes, you three. He saved you three people in the whole fucking city."
So speaking of that, what about the whole Batman thing coming? Ben Affleck leaving Batman.
Now, is that official? Is that official? Because it's been kind of, sort of, maybe for like 2 years.
Rob,
I think it is, because I think I've seen something where they talked about a new person filming, so I thought it was official.
The last headline I saw was, I believe, Matt Reeves' Batman movie moving forward without Affleck.
Now, but here's the question: since we've established that we're going to have the Jared Leto Joker in a Joker and Harley movie, and yet we're going to have a different Joker in the Martin Scorsese Joker movie, does that mean Affleck Batman is gone, or just that there's going to be another version of Batman?
Wait a minute. Hold on. I need you to back up for a second. I missed a Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
What?
There are like 5 different Joker projects moving on.
Yeah, it's Joaquin Phoenix
to
play the Joker. What? And Marty's involved somehow.
What?
Yeah.
Which I think he may be producing.
What's going on over at Warner Brothers?
He may be. He is producing, and Todd Phillips is directing.
Yeah. No Daniel Day-Lewis.
Well, because he's retired. Yes. Although a Daniel Day-Lewis
allegedly
would be awesome. Of course, several people would have died in the shooting of that actual film because he is all method.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Leto, so.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah, shit method apparently.
Well, Jared Leto, his version of the Joker is just a douche. So.
Never watched Suicide Squad.
You what?
I didn't have the self-hate enough to watch Suicide Squad. I just haven't.
Suicide Squad is a bunch of nice scenes put together horribly.
Thank you. It is a bunch of nice scenes, and it starts like, okay, I could go with this, and then rapidly disintegrates as it goes along. Because you know what it is? It's basically because oh God. What is her name? Oh, Viola Davis.
Oh, okay.
Because she's Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad, and she's like formidable in that, right? I wonder, is she ever going to appear again? Because it's like she took the same character, multiplied it by 3 or 4 times, and she's playing that in Widows. Which, I don't know if you've seen the trailer for that, but it has made me completely respect Colin Farrell as an actor even more than I already did, because he's facing off with her in intense mode, and if any normal person dealing with her in that mode would be curled up in a ball under his chair pissing himself. I mean, holy shit. So the Amanda Waller character I really loved, and I liked a lot of the characters that they had set up in that. But again, if they had just created these characters elsewhere and then brought them together like a villain's Justice League, it would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, I know they've done Legion on Legends of Tomorrow. Has Matter Eater Lad been on Legends of Tomorrow? And if not, why not?
They probably didn't get the rights yet, or they're waiting.
I'm sorry, say that again, Rob.
I said they probably couldn't get the rights yet, or they're waiting.
No, they've got the rights because it's Legion.
Yeah.
Unless, see, DC isn't like Marvel. Marvel would have sold Matter Eater Lad as its own project to Sony in a fucking heartbeat back when they had no money.
Yep.
But DC kept it all.
Well, that's because Warner Brothers forgot that they could make money off DC for a long time.
Well, they used it. They basically used it as a write-off for a intellectual property generating arm of the company that they didn't actually mess with until Marvel came along and showed them that they were, losing their ass.
Yeah. It's like, this is how you make money.
Yeah. Like, oh, wait. You mean you can
It's
make
like,
about characters that aren't Batman?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the other thing, and of course this point has been beleaguered to death. But one of the things that, again, Marvel's doing so much better is that they're doing, each character has its own unique genre. So we've had spy films, we've had heist films, we've had different experiments of what things can be. Whereas Warner Brothers keeps making Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Batman swims in the water. Sometimes Batman flies in the sky. Sometimes Batman has breasts.
That's usually because of red kryptonite.
But I'll bump.
Hey,
I'm scooting. Bye.
all right. Rox, have you got any recommendations before you run away?
Oh yeah, David Sedaris's Calypso book. It's really funny. I didn't know this, but so David Sedaris is actually from my neck of the woods in upstate New York, and then of course they moved down to Raleigh.
It sort of makes sense if you think about it, really.
It does. But in Calypso, you find out that he's got another brother and then 4 sisters. So it's a big family, and they're one of the sisters, Tiffany, committed suicide. So
whoa, what?
Yeah. So David likes, right now he's living in England, but they also have a place, I think, near Raleigh along the water or something like that. So anyway, it's David Sedaris doing his typical using loss and stuff, and then making it funny. Also, so my boyfriend and I now we go to bars when we do on a Sunday afternoon, and we buy puzzles, the 3-dimensional puzzles. So we found this company, Hanayama. And, yeah. So anyway, they're those sculptural puzzles and stuff, and they're different levels. And so we pick up beer, and we are that couple that bring puzzles to a bar. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I got.
All right.
Dang.
Thanks, Rox.
Oh,
See you. That's all right.
I'll play it later, much later. There you go.
Oi. So yeah, so Marvel's good and DC sucks. What else?
What else was on the non-agenda agenda?
Oh, the AMC and Alamo going after Movie Pass.
So I was faced with, as I mentioned earlier, I bought my Ant-Man and Wasp tickets, and one of the things, buying it through the AMC app on the phone, one of the things it does say, hey, do you want to join the A-list? And at the in general, it's a good price. Obviously, it's a great price if you're going to see 3 movies a week, and plus the fact that it allows you to do the IMAX or whatever you want to do, the 3D and re-see movies. It's a fantastic price. The only problem with, of course, with me with having a family is that I have 4 people. That's $80 a month that I may or may not use for. They may or may not go see films. I would probably be able to see probably 3 or 4 a month, which would still make it worth it. But and I have AMC's everywhere around where I live. I don't know how it works out in Portland or St. Louis, because I don't think there are very many AMC's up there.
Oh, we have tons of AMC's. We just don't have any Alamos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no Alamo here either. God damn it.
There's no Alamo here.
God damn it.
AMC's, right? There's no AMC's out there, are there?
Aren't AMC and Regal connected?
No.
Then no.
No. God damn it.
But it's interesting that they want. Are you thinking of? I know that you've got the Movie Pass for basically a year. Are you thinking that you might switch over to AMC's thing, assuming it's around if Movie Pass disappears?
I don't know. I mean, the one thing about the AMC thing is, I mean, it is a good deal. The main my question would be, does it work like Movie Pass in that, like with Movie Pass, you have to be at the cinema?
No, AMC will allow you to do as soon as it's released, you can get your tickets. You just go through the app. Yeah, so as soon as not even released, as soon as the tickets are opened. So in other words, you can have up to 3 reserved tickets at a time.
Ooh, pretty.
Does AMC have reserved seating?
Yes.
In some of the cinemas.
I hate that. Hate it.
Oh,
why?
Really?
Why?
Maybe it's because when I go to a film, I mean, you can see the map and stuff, but when I go to a film, one of the things that can be one of the major distractions for me is other people. So I like to walk in and assess where like the worst part of the crowd is from it.
It should be said, though. Yes, I understand what you're saying. It should be said, though, that the ones that have reserved seating, for the most part, have also been upgraded to the recliner seats and the big border wall that sits between. Hello, Trump. The big wall that sits between you and the other rows. That's a wall that he really wanted to build. He was just pissed off at movie theaters. There's a wall between you and the next row down. At least in this area, that's the case. So
yeah, that's the same here. But
worst case scenario, you have somebody in your same row that's a jerk. But
right. So and JJ, I agree with you. But my take on it is, generally, if I'm seeing a film where it's like basically, if I'm seeing a film where there are seats where you can spread out, then I could have gotten a reserved seat and basically just moved somewhere else and no one would care because the cinema is not full.
Right.
But normally I have been happy for when I'm seeing a film. This makes it easier for me to see a film the first or second week because I know, okay, I'm going to have this quality seat and I get to walk in, close to trailer time, as opposed to having to sit there for 20 or 30 minutes and watch all the fucking advertisements that come up first. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, but to me, I think it's a fair trade-off. And so far it hasn't been to the point where I have, had to go get somebody and say, fix this.
Right. And I also know that I'm spoiled because we have, single screen theaters here that, like, if I go to see, like, I was thinking about going to see The Incredibles 2 tonight, but the late showing for some reason starts at like almost 11. So it's like, maybe not tonight. So instead, my girlfriend and I are going to go see, even though I know it's probably going to be terrible, but it's terrible with dinosaurs. We're going to go see the new Jurassic Park tonight. And it's playing at a single screen theater that is kind of off the beaten path that people don't go to, and like the tickets are like $6.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I know that I'm spoiled here. I get that.
Well, and see here, we do have some single and, you know, 2-house and even 4-house cinemas, but they're all the art house places. So I don't know that we have here any, you know, single house places that are doing a movie that is like a first run film.
Right. And like The Incredibles is playing at a theater here called the Baghdad, and the Baghdad's huge.
Oh.
It's a balcony. And it's, you know, it's where I go to see, you know, like Ant-Man and the Wasp is going there. It's where I go to see all the Marvel shit and all the Star Wars. I mean, the last I saw there was Solo.
Hell, I just want an Alamo in town because I'm constantly seeing stuff like from like Mondo where they're like, oh, we're giving away this random thing that looks awesome, but it's only available at Alamo Drafthouse. I'm like, God fucking damn it.
Yeah, I think the only thing Alamo's ever done here was they had that traveling roadshow, which gave you very unique movie experiences. The one that, of course, intrigued me the most was the one where they played God, was it Jaws or was it Friday the 13th that they played in a lake where you were on inner tubes?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's fantastic.
JJ?
Yes.
Oh, there he is. He's
Oh,
back.
you dropped off there. Sorry. Go ahead. Say what you're saying again.
But they showed the Goonies at the soccer field that's in Astoria that it was filmed at.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you could, you know, so what they did is they took films that were tied to a place and showed that film in that place. And so they showed the Goonies here because it was filmed here.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And actually, if you walk through Astoria, it is for the most part like walking through the set of the Goonies. It's a picturesque as fuck town.
It's good enough.
It is good. It's good enough for me. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Oh God.
How did you guys like Solo?
It was
I
fun.
didn't hate it.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, I again, part of the problem is that Alden, I can't say his last name.
Right.
I mean, you're taking on a role that is about as iconic as they come.
Mm-hmm.
And I compared it to, I can just imagine, you know, oh, you're the James Bond after Sean Connery, right? It's like, well, no, James Bond, that's Sean Connery. So it's a no-win situation for him. Yeah. But the whole Star Wars sort of caper movie that with Donald Glover as fucking awesome as Lando, I really had a good time. I had a blast.
Yeah, it's one of those films that I went into it thinking it was a film I didn't need, that I was watching it because I watch Star Wars films. But as I watched it, I not only did I really enjoy it, the more I thought about it after, the more the film makes sense. And knowing that Solo was written by the same person who wrote The Force Awakens, and it actually, a lot of what happens in the film Solo informs how you look at Han's performance in The Force Awakens in a really beautiful way. Well, for example, just one quick thing. When so Han, during the film, left somebody on Corellia, so he spends the entire film wanting to get back to Corellia. He meets up with Woody Harrelson, which I can't remember his character's name right now. And he keeps saying, I want to go back. I want to go back. And everybody's like, why the hell would you want to go back? You know, a lot like Rey. So, and so when when Woody Harrelson welcomes him to the crew, he gives him a blaster and says, come on aboard. And what does he do with Rey? He gives Rey a blaster and says, how would you like to join the crew? There's a really nice little parallel in a lot of that.
I did not catch that, but I haven't seen Force Awakens recently.
Yeah. I like Star Wars.
The interesting thing, though, I was going to say the curious thing is that poor kid is surrounded by amazing actors who are arguably better than him. So he's doing scenes with Donald Glover. He's doing scenes with Paul Bettany. Then he's got scenes with Emilia Clarke. I mean, it's like it's literally no matter what he does, he's in danger of being outmatched in terms of people he's co-starring with. And I don't know if he always pulls that off. Now, taken as just a fun romp of, heist film stuff, it works in all the ways that Ocean's 8 doesn't. It's really fun, and it's really it takes itself very seriously too, which is really, really, really different than I thought it was going to be too. And I liked how they explored that relationship between Han and Chewie a little bit. That was nice, and it was also nuanced enough that it worked. But I was really happy with it.
Yeah, like I said, the more I think about it, because I spend way too much time pondering Star.
Yeah.
You went away again, JJ.
I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But the more I thought about it, I realized there's a lot more to like than I realized. I'll even say that his performance got better when I realized that I was able to forget that it wasn't Harrison Ford. I was just watching him.
Right.
And when you think about some of the things that he had to do, like the Han Solo blaster pose, and he does make it feel kind of effortless.
So, JJ, when you go see Jurassic Park tonight, just think about the way that Spielberg laid out the plot development for Raiders.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of Raiders of the Lost Ark in the new Jurassic Park movie.
Okay. Have you ever, I may have said this before because I say this a lot, but it was something that I fell into by mistake a couple of years ago and realized the best way to find skeleton to hang a one of these creature features on, and that's that I watched Jaws and Jurassic Park like within 2 days of one another. And the structure for Jaws and Jurassic Park are the same.
Yes.
And so you kind of you pull behind the screen and see, or behind the curtain, and you see where the strings are pulled and where they're not. And then when you watch these other films, you're like, oh, well, that's where they fucked it up.
Yeah. Well, there's some Jaws in there too.
Well, I mean, then that sounds like it might be better than the last one then. Okay.
Much better than I thought it was going to be. I liked it more than I thought I was going to be. And, it's good to see James Cromwell get something to do, which is good. And, I thought it was pretty interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Because the last film was just needlessly mean.
Yes. This one kind of is too. I'm kind of like guilty pleasure interested in seeing The Meg, that Jason Statham Jaws movie. You'll see the trailer for it. There's this thing called The Meg where Jason Statham and Rainn Wilson and a bunch of people go after this giant shark.
Megalodon, basically.
Yeah, it looks utterly stupid, but I'll watch it because Jason Statham's in it.
Well, I want to know. I want to see him do go up against the shark and deliver a spinning roundhouse kick or something.
Yeah, in a suit.
Well, and the thing about Alden, the guy who played Solo, is he's not a complete slouch, because I remember from Hail Caesar.
Oh, he was great in Hail Caesar.
With him and Ralph Fiennes basically doing the scene where he was saying, what was it? I forget what he's trying to coach him in how to say it properly, like a proper gentleman, whereas the guy is a cowboy star. And I just really wanted to be able to ask him, how many fucking takes did it take for you and Ralph Fiennes to do that without laughing in each other's faces? Because that is ridiculous.
I want him and Ralph Fiennes to redo the Bing Crosby, Bob Hope Road movies.
Now, do you want them to do it as versions of themselves, a la The Trip, or you want them to play characters?
I think playing characters.
Okay.
But if you're going to get Ralph Fiennes in that many movies, it means they're going to probably be directed by Wes Anderson.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with that.
They'll be very cold.
So Rob, to back up for a second, you did not enjoy Ocean's 8?
Not really. I didn't love it.
Huh.
You know, but a lot of it is, you know, it's kind of, I've seen all the Ocean's movies, so I kind of know what's happening.
Right.
And, you know, there's something quintessentially annoying about Sandra Bullock that I can't get past.
Oh, okay.
And I know that's terrible and sounds horrible.
No, I mean, we all have allergic reactions to certain actors. It can't be helped.
I think she was great in Gravity, but for the most part, I can't, you know. And I just think if you have that many really great actresses in one film, you should make it work.
Huh. Well, I enjoyed it. What's that?
Yeah. But I'm also looking at it, you know, within the context of everything else that's out around it, you know, at the same time. So
well, I enjoyed it for, first of all, because it didn't negate the rest of the franchise.
Yeah.
Because they at least tied it back to the Ocean's movies in a way that made sense. It was not annoying. I totally get that you find her annoying. I really liked her performance just because I was like, wow, she is, if anything, it was distracting for me because I thought she was doing a better job than the material warranted.
Okay.
But I enjoyed the cast that they put around her, and I like the fact that they did something different. They didn't do another Vegas heist thing. They did it a different structure where you didn't really have an antagonist like you had with Al Pacino and Andy Garcia previously. So I liked that it was kind of the same, and yet it was its own thing. So it was just fun. I mean, again, it's one of those things where, like you said, with a caper movie or a heist movie, I'm like, okay, does this hold together? It's like, okay, it's like the difference between Baby Driver is not just a caper or heist movie. Therefore, it is held to something different than a caper or heist movie would be. You know what I mean? But this, I think, was solidly, this is what it is. And that's pretty much all it's going to be. And I was cool with it. I had fun. I honestly, I hope that it makes enough money where they come back and do Ocean's 21, because I would like to see some kind of massive caper film involving all of those characters together. Because you can't tell me that that's an accident. You have 13 and 8 as the final for, you know, where they left each side of the franchise.
That's an Infinity War, like, expensive casting.
But I mean, if you did it properly, and I think part of the thing too about the difference with something like, and this is why I enjoyed especially Ocean's 11 so much, is it was the sort of film that, to me, it was like Cannonball Run, in that you could tell the cast was having such a fucking great time making it that it kind of was infectious, you know? And so it was that feels like the kind of, like it's an actor version of summer camp. Oh, we're gonna get together. Our uncle has a barn. Let's put on a show. You know, that kind of thing. Except it's, you know, got a much bigger budget. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So I think there's something to be said for, whereas Infinity War, for all those people, felt like a job because they were having to work so damn hard. But I could see you doing an Ocean's 21 that was the sort of thing that you would want to show up and be a part of, even if you weren't making $21 million or something.
I mean, that's kind of what they talked about with the making of that last Ocean's film, is they just hung out in Clooney's like Italian villa and like drank too much and sometimes stumbled down to the set to film a scene.
Right. It's or like again, I need to catch up on Game of Thrones just because I'm fascinated to see the final season, because my understanding is they had to postpone production for a day because the actors were all finally working together after how many years of being on a show where they've never seen each other. It's like you have to watch the show to find out what the other fucking characters are doing. They had a like blowout party. And they were basically just like, yeah, we're going to have to push production because everyone's hungover and or still partying.
Nice.
So again, that kind of, I fucking can't believe we're here. We did this. Yeah. That's why I'm like, okay, this final season, this might just be a hoot.
All I know is they're dead.
What's that?
All I know is at the end, we'll find out the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Even if that was a cut scene on the Blu-ray, just have someone, I don't know, like someone like Martin Freeman walk in and deliver the line to Daenerys or whoever's sitting on the fucking throne. That would be perfect.
I fear my
tidings come too late.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. End credits.
Again, seriously, you put that, you create that. First of all, you create that for Game of Thrones, but you also do it in such a way that you can insert it into a lot of different films. In the same way that I wish they could shoot a Sam Jackson, Nick Fury scene, a generic scene of him inviting someone to the Avengers that you could put at the end of fucking anything. Like literally where it's the opposite of a two-shot, the opposite end of the two-shot where it's him talking and you could cut back to the other person listening. And so then you could get shit like, God, I don't even know. There's so many versions of this where I'm just like, oh, and then Sam Jackson shows up to invite them to the Avengers.
But you know how the internet works? Eventually there would be a video there would be a combination of Downfall and Sam Jackson, and it just wouldn't be good.
That could potentially be fucking hilarious. Because I've seen some amazing reworkings of that Downfall scene.
And that movie's so hard to watch. It's just amazing they made a meme out of it.
Right. But I mean, it's Bruno Gantz. It was amazing. So, basically, oh God, can't believe I'm, Heaven Over Berlin, basically, whatever I'm blanking on the American title. You know what I mean? The Wim Wenders film.
Yeah.
Love that movie. I need to watch that again. One of my favorite Peter Falk moments. Wings of Desire. Thank you. I kept thinking of City of Angels, but no, that was the horrible fucking American remake.
I will say, just speaking of memes and stuff, my favorite Infinity War meme so far has been the one of John Wick.
Oh, is this the one where Thanos kills his dog?
He's holding the puppy, and then the puppy fades away, and then it shows like Avengers or like Infinity War 2. The return on Wick.
Before Infinity War came out, there was one where it was Tony and Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange says, "No, I know how to stop Thanos." And Thanos is like, "All right, where's the time stone?" He says, "It's inside this dog," and he rips the dog apart with his powers. And then John Wick shows up and says, "Hey, has anybody seen my new dog?" And Tony and Strange are in the background high-fiving. That was the first time I saw that. I fucking loved it.
Speaking of
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, speaking of Solo, I stepped away for a minute, so I don't know if you guys talked about this, but the Childish Gambino controversy.
I hadn't heard about this at all.
Yeah,
although reading the article, not really controversy. Maybe the internet is just making things more complicated than it needs to be. Surprise and shock.
Well, but see, that's why I wanted someone, you know, with a lot more expertise than me to listen to it. Because the article I linked had a YouTube thing where they played bits of the two songs back to back. It sounds really fucking similar, I have to say. So that's why I was like...
Even if it does, the original, well, quote unquote original artist, and according to Childish Gambino's people, they've been working on the song for 3 years, so it's not anything. And they say that according to the article that you linked to, they had the Pro Tool files to prove it. Even the artist they supposedly plagiarized says, you know what? I'm just happy to be associated with this, regardless of whether or not it's true. So, you know, I don't think it's as much of a controversy as anybody really is as the internet is making it out to be.
Well, I think it is something if you're taking. Let's assume it was that actually happened. If you're taking something from somebody and not giving them credit. I mean, the guy, the original artist, also said it would be awesome if I would just get a shout out or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, if you're not even nodding back to him, again, assuming this happened, because I mean, he's like, well, we got the Pro Tools 3 years back to prove that. I'm like, well, the other guy could have Pro Tools 5 years back. I mean, fucked if I know. And it's not saying that things don't independently happen from each other, because a lot of people were like, you know, the 28 Days Later movie came out, and Walking Dead came out, the comic, around the same time, and had the same basic setup of somebody woke up from a coma and the apocalypse had happened. And I'm like, but yeah, if you look at the timeline, there's no fucking way one could have stolen from the other. And that might be the case here. But I just wanted somebody else to listen to it and be able to say, because it sounded so alike to me that I was like, okay, that's really alike. That's almost like if 28 Days Later had been based in Georgia and had starred a sheriff's deputy instead of a sheriff. I think maybe it was a deputy. Okay. Like, I don't know. Well, okay, a sheriff instead of a sheriff's deputy, and he's the guy that got shot and woke up at the end. I mean, that's how close it seems to me. But then again, I'm no expert in this shit, so I wanted somebody else to listen to it and tell me I'm perfectly willing to be wrong, because what the fuck do I know?
Well, here, let me play it then.
Okay.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. I'm young and I'm black in America. They try to attack and embarrass.
Yeah, this is the American Pharaoh version.
Right.
But they let us stick, so I tear it up.
Back to Childish Gambino.
Right.
Money's my language, but I'm nobody's slave. Open my eyes. Yeah, I'ma go into this. Yeah, this is Gorilla. Yeah, I'ma go get the bag. No time for bullshit, I require silence. People wanna bottle my virus. Sneezed on the track, it came out of my sinus. Look how I'm living now. Police be tripping now. Yeah, this is America.
So,
Guns in my area. Police killed my best friend, they shot him dead. I do not forgive, I do not forget.
So that's where this sort of ends. But so I remember this being similar to, wasn't it Last Dance with Mary Jane also had a controversy around it as well? And I go back to there's a weird phenomena in phenomena anyway that goes in art circles where art sort of starts to repeat. It's like in the zeitgeist, it's like sort of in the air, and people come up with sort of the same thing at the same time,
right?
And it's possible that it just happened to be that this is one of those nexuses where that, well, I mean, so as I'm watching the video on YouTube is saying, they talk about the same content. Well, yeah, I think most of Black America is talking about, what the hell is going on in America right now. So I don't know that that's really valid, other than maybe the beats, but also those beats are very similar to what Childish Gambino has done over the years, and others have done over the years. Anyway, the Roots and what have you. I mean, it could be. I doubt that they plagiarized it, but I could see how it could be inspired, or just could be in the air, if you will.
Rob, what do you think? You're an expert.
Sure.
I mean, hey, look. People on Fox and CNN and whatnot call themselves experts, and I think they're all bunches of pieces of crap. So, I mean,
yeah,
you're more of an expert on music than any of them.
No. Here's the thing. While I understand the point of it, right, and I understand why people are upset, I also think that during the course of recorded music, it's almost impossible not to repeat things subconsciously, sort of in the way that George Harrison did with My Sweet Lord, So I don't know. Plus, it's really hard for me to believe that Childish Gambino needs to plagiarize anybody. That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I can see both sides of this. But there's just some artists, like if this is some guy off the street that we'd never heard of doing something, you'd be like, oh yeah, he's ripping that off. But there's some artists that you hear that are like, they're so talented and they're so far ahead of their game. And they're so smart. Like the one thing that Donald Glover does is, and if you listen to his NPR interview with his partner, who he works with, is Childish Gambino, you learn that he sort of does everything very meticulously, and he surrounds himself with really good professional people that know what they're doing. So I can't imagine him doing this and trying to get away with it, or somebody not seeing this as a red flag and pulling him aside.
Right.
So, that's kind of a stupid answer.
No, it makes sense. I think my only thing was the flow seemed very, I mean, the beats, but the flow seemed very similar to me. Now, again, like I said, the 28 days later Walking Dead thing, shit just happens where you both come up with the same basic idea at the same time.
Yeah.
That goes back to the theory of evolution. I mean, everyone, including me at the moment, forgets the other guy who came up with it independently of Darwin, who basically was going to publish, and then Darwin didn't publish. We're like, oh fuck. And so they kind of got credit for it together. So there's a history of that. I just was curious because I was like, when I heard it, I was like, okay, wow, that sounds really similar.
I mean, it does sound really similar. It's almost eerie how similar it is. But at the same time, a lot of stuff does. I mean, a lot of records now, especially anything with a vocoder on, it's all going to sound the same.
Yeah.
So there is, I mean, and of all probably of all the modern music forms, hip hop and EDM are the two where the most likely brand of that can happen. That sort of. And there's so many. I mean, how many people have used Funky Drummer without trying to use Funky Drummer? And how many people have used Funky Drummer and wanted to use Funky Drummer? I mean, those are kind of the kind of questions you're asked. I hope I'm making sense. Sorry.
And the structure for those 2 tracks are basically, they only have 3 things. It's drums, bass, and vocals. So the drums and the bass are, they're similar, but they're not. It's not a music necessarily a musically driven bass line. It's just sort of it's supposed to be a rumble. And so it's the meter of the track and the subject matter that's kind of eerie, but the subject, like once you know you're building around the phrase, like say, "This is America," that gives you a short structure. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine years ago who wrote a song that he said it was really complex because the lyric structure and rhyme scheme ended up being really complex because the first line had too many words. So so it ended up the first line of the song ended up taking up like I don't know, like a measure and a half of the verse. And then that meant that all the lyrics were kind of hanging on this weird structure that he wanted for the first line that he liked so much. So, once you set up the rhythm is of what you're shooting out is, it's sort of driven by that. So these people both had, it's very possible that they both had ideas that were structured on a short rhythmic meter sort of burst.
That makes sense.
So,
but also that beat you can only use a 3/4 hip hop beat so many ways, so many times after 30 years. I mean, unless you start switching off the beats, or your Chance the Rapper, where you sort of completely change out, or Kendrick Lamar, where you change out the beats. A lot of it is there tends to be in hip hop movements where a lot of the hip hop songs sound the same. And beat wise, not necessarily lyrically, but beat wise, a lot of the beats get reused, and there's a lot of reusing other people's beats and things. But that's almost, I think, kind of what's going on here.
So who saw Deadpool 2?
I have not yet.
So it's brought up in there that the Frozen song sounds like Yentl, and I actually found a clip from this that may or may not prove this. Hold on, let's see if we can. Okay, someone decided to put their own backbeat in there. Hold on, skipping ahead. Here we go. Nope, it's not going to play the actual song. Why would it not play the actual song? Hold on. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't need
the England team here, and I just want the same.
Here we go.
Papa, can you see me? Papa, can you find me in the night?
I don't know if you can hear that. Okay, he may have been right.
I will say that, Papa, can you hear me? Do you want to build a snowman? They are pretty close.
Nice.
Also, by the way, the Last Dance with Mary Jane thing was actually a comparison to Danny California with Red Hot Chili Peppers. So that's what that was about.
And see, and once a song gets more complex like that, like the controversy between I don't remember the Marvin Gaye song and Blurred Lines. Once you have
there was
structures like that, once you have more instruments and more elements of copying, it feels more malicious. When it's just drums and kind of a nondescript bass, it feels hard to say. It'd be like if two people wrote a book that was similar to that story from Throw Mama from the Train, where it was the man in the hat shot the other man in the hat. And if two people wrote that story, then you'd go, that's a little fishy. Or excuse me, if two people wrote a story like that was similar, you'd go, that doesn't make much, that's not impossible because that's something anyone could write, is what I was trying to say. But if two people both wrote War and Peace, then you go, that's fishy.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of.
You hear me?
Do you want to build a snowman or ride our bike around the halls?
Can you hear me praying? Anything I'm saying?
Please, I know you're in there. People are asking.
Papa, love you.
Oh my God, those are very eerily similar.
They are.
And
So
by the way,
which-
Deadpool 2, awesome. Not
yeah,
as sweet as
which did you like Deadpool?
I really enjoyed Deadpool. Yes.
I didn't like it as much as the first one. I thought it wasn't as sweet as the first one was, as silly as that sounds. But I really did like it. Go on, GJ.
I was going to say it's that rare. Okay, they're different flavors. That's part of it. Is one of them is coffee ice cream and the other is mocha ice cream. I don't know. They're similar, but they're that rare comedy sequel and that rare action sequel that doesn't necessarily feel like it has to hit all the same beats, but still tells a very interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got you.
And it manages to do something at the beginning of the film that upset me to the point that I thought that I wasn't going to want to continue to watch the film, but then I was laughing by the time the credits started. So again, not to give away spoilers, but I was impressed by the filmmaking there.
What was the first part? I mean, it's in the first. It has to, if it's before the credits ends in the first 10 minutes or whatever. What was it that upset you?
Well, again, I don't think I want to give away. It's a pretty big spoiler. Let's just say the death of a major character.
Oh, that. Gotcha.
And you go, oh, fuck that. This movie just lost me. That was something I really liked in the first film.
Yeah,
And
I feel you there. I definitely feel you there.
And they were able to pull off, and let's just say that ending credit scene better be real.
Yeah. That'd be awesome if it is too, right? So, yeah, and there is one scene in there that, and you probably know the one I'm talking about, where I literally thought I was going to wet my pants. It was so freaking funny.
Yeah,
you know which one it is. It's towards the middle of the film, or maybe towards the last quarter of it. But oh god, and I still think about that and still laugh to myself.
And as long as they keep getting Colossus right, they can keep making Deadpool movies.
That's true.
Colossus is terrible in the X-Men movies, but the Deadpool movies, he's perfect.
Oh, and what's her nose? The girlfriend of Negasonic. Every time you saw her, hello. I forget what her name was, but it was just hilarious. Okay. I'm just thinking about it. I'm laughing. And again, the plot, it is what it was. I don't know if the plot really matters so much because it was sort of long and sort of convoluted, but just the sheer fun of that film is worth the $9 or whatever I paid for. Actually, I saw it on Tuesday at AMC, which was only $5. So yeah, after work. So it was well worth the $5 that I spent.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
I was just saying I found it to be a much surprising joy. I knew I wanted to like it, but the fact that I liked it as much as I did, and I, not on purpose, ended up going at the same time that other people I knew went. So we just sort of ended up having a big group there, and we all had a grand time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't, like I said, I don't feel like it was as the first film. I thought surprisingly had a lot of depth to it. And in his Wade Wilson's ultimate guiding light and reason for doing the things that he did was very deep and very sort of rooted in some deep emotional stuff. Well, of course, also being hilarious. It wasn't as prevalent in Deadpool 2, but then they offset that by putting in more jokes per minute than was probably legally allowable.
Right. And it maybe part of it for me was just the fact that it really didn't feel the need to completely rehash this moment and that moment and this moment. It did go ahead and tell a completely different story, including like the big hilarious scene you were just talking about. and sort of. So I think part of like what was that? But I think part of, like you were saying, the first one was such a surprise. I think that was part of it, and so going into this one, we had, but it still turned out to be a lot better. Maybe that's part of it as well. As it was my surprise of it not sucking, being a sequel, because comedy sequels almost always suck.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. See, Airplane 2, even though it was still funny. That was my best analogy I could find for Deadpool versus Deadpool 2. But Airplane 2 was not very good. But
no.
But still the same sort of sense of humor, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2.
Oh yes. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. We were doing so good. We're so good.
God.
Yes.
On that note,
this leads me to something too that pisses me off. Can I get to something real quick?
Go for it.
So I don't know if they're doing it where you guys are, but AMC's doing this thing now where if you go to an AMC theater that hasn't been renovated to the classic or to the reclining chairs and all that snazzy stuff yet, they're calling it AMC Classic.
Oh, yeah. We do have one of those in town, yes.
And it's like the AMC one that I always went to because the projection was fine. It was comfortable. It was accessible. All the theaters had decent seats. It wasn't like you're cramped or you got a pole to look around or anything. And it was fine. But now they've rebranded it as AMC Classic. So they're going to totally, you watch, they're going to turn their theaters that aren't like the Goldenrod Showboat theaters. They're going to turn those into like cheap movie houses, which really pisses me off. Because maybe people want to go to a movie and not sit in a chair that does a 380-degree turn or leans back or puts you really close to the guy next to you. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm done.
Well, the interesting thing about the AMC Movie Classics here that exist is at the beginning of every year you can buy an unlimited popcorn bucket for like $20 or something, and then every time you go to that theater or go to a AMC theater with your bucket, you get free popcorn. Well, free as in you pay $20 at the beginning of the year, but so that's the only reason why I appreciate those. Other than that, yeah. I mean, you got to remember, my wife and I met at an AMC theater. We were both working at an AMC theater when we met, so I have an affinity towards AMC just in general. So
yeah.
I was about to say, yeah, if it's going to call it AMC Classics, they really should offer like Tab and Marathon Bar.
Okay, so JJ, answer me this. So I was in Portland, and we went to a restaurant, and they said, "Oh, do you have Coke products?" And instead of hearing, "No, we have Pepsi," I heard, "We have RC."
You went to a McMenamins.
Yes, I did.
Royal Crown. Wow.
We all kind of looked at each other like, "Wait, what?"
It feels so weird. So the Baghdad theater I mentioned earlier is a McMenamins theater.
Oh,
and so it is so strange to go, I'll have I'll have a medium diet right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
wow.
I was so blown back by that. I was like, this has got to be. It was shortly after that we drove by an ICE protest. But prior to that, that was the most Portland thing that had ever happened. That had happened the entire trip. And then we passed by the ICE protest and went, well, okay, that's a Portland. That's a more Portland thing to happen.
Honestly, if I encountered that in a cinema, I would assume that I was being like, I was on one of those prank shows. Because oh my God, that's so weird.
Yeah, I know, right? RC Cola.
What is
and by the way, I like RC Cola. It's not bad. I just was like taken back that anybody had RC Cola on tap.
I'm gonna start asking for RC Cola now when I go out. Along with Tab.
God. All right.
from where I am right now.
Now,
say it again, JJ. I'm sorry you cut out.
Oh, I was just saying it's a local chain. They're everywhere, and I've got a local, and I've got like 2 McMinimans like within walking distance from me, like just right now. They're everywhere. But yeah, they are very Portland. What I would say is probably even a little bit more Portland is there's a place you can get your hair cut here called Bishop's, and because they are not licensed to sell beer, you cannot buy a beer while you're there, but while you're waiting, they will give you a Miller High Life.
wow.
Awesome.
I love Portland.
Sometimes, yes.
I can see that.
When they aren't being invaded by racists.
Or Fed Army.
It's way too long of a conversation, and Widge wants to go into recommendations, but I could talk about how Portland has changed, but you could have that same conversation.
Told me this.
Yes, but so you can have that same conversation in any bar in this town, and any Portlander will first start complaining about rent, and after we complain about rent, we will start talking about how this city is not what it was even 6 or 7 years ago.
You mean the musical rent or the cost of rent?
Yes.
If it's around me, both.
Get a like Kyle MacLachlan mayor. I mean, come on.
Right. That is probably your biggest problem, right? That was probably the biggest problem that Portland ran into, was that it became the subject of a semi popular television.
Yeah,
there is that, but by the same token, there was something going on here before that series, and that's why they based the series on it.
Yeah, but what they had before the TV series was awesome and cool, and should have been left alone.
I mean, when I moved here, in a city where you could be walking down the street and pass a bunch of pirates and people in tutus, and you would wonder if they were just on their way to work or if there was a pirate tutu party somewhere. But yet nobody ever said anything, and it was. I know we stole the Keep Portland Weird from Austin. I know that, but it was a city that
just had the same issue.
The what?
Austin's having the same issues.
Yeah, because it's been taken over by people who want to monetize it, and so I mean there are again, I have much more to say about it. That's just on the surface, but the fact that Portland is kicking Portlanders out and tech people are moving here because it's a supposedly cute place to be, as the people who actually live here are getting pushed farther and farther out. Massive issues.
I pulled up Zillow and was surprised to find the prices of real estate in that area.
Oh, it's so bad.
Well,
I was like, my house is half the price of what here in Tampa, what it is in Portland. Now I get that there's different economic situations there. There's, but the fact is we have no state income tax, even though we do have a state sales tax. I would rather have a sales tax than income tax, to be frank with you. Not to get too political here, but the house that you get for $600,000, which is not what I paid for my house, by the way, is that's how much it would cost to buy. Well, actually, sorry, it would probably cost about closer to $1 million to buy my house in Portland than it does here in Tampa. And
right, you need bedrooms.
Yeah, my kids need bedrooms, exactly. So, but yeah, I was like looking at this one. I was, because we stayed at an Airbnb in Portland, and it was really someone's backyard. They're as Serv told me later, what it's called is an ADU, additional dwelling unit. Okay. But it was basically looks like a renovated garage. It's really cool. It was really cool in their garden, in their nice, naturally grown garden. But I was walking down the street, and the house was basically, I don't know, what I would call abandoned, was going for, $500,000. And I'm like, that house cannot be any bigger than, 2-bedroom. And sure enough, it was only 2-bedroom. And I got in looking at the prices on that street, it was a bargain. And that was in Melanoma Village.
Okay. Yeah. Multnomah Village.
Yeah.
Melanoma?
Something like that. But yeah, I mean, it was. I was just shocked, and it's sad to see that's what's happening to that city. But I do have one serious question to ask you, which is, how come you can't buy a regular sweatshirt in Portland anywhere?
Wayne.
Everything either has a hood, either it's a hoodie or it's a short sleeve sweatshirt. There is no regular sweatshirt to be found.
Right. There is. I once did a treatise on Mars Needs about the need for about 7 different weights of hoodies in Portland. And it's because of the varying levels of rain, the fact that when it's spring here, in the morning it'll be like 40 degrees and 90 in the afternoon. So you have to, you can't just bring one coat because at some point you'll be way too hot or way too fucking cold. No, it's weird. When I first moved here and saw people like in parkas and shorts, I was like, this is the weirdest fucking place ever. And then the next thing I know, in like 6 months, I'm wearing a parka and shorts.
Well, it's not even that. It's that my daughter wanted to find a sweatshirt. That was it, a sweatshirt. And either was zip up. The only thing we could find was either zip up or had a hood on it. And there was no in between. There was no regular just, hey, here's a shirt you put on and it's fluffy and it has, Portland on the front of it, and that's it. It was nowhere to be found. It either had to have a hood, have no sleeves, or had to have a zipper. There was nothing in between.
I apologize for the culture, but that does not surprise me. You probably would have had to gone to like a duck store or something to find it.
Hell, we even went to a freaking Columbia store and couldn't find it.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, why sell something that's not going to? Why have something on your shelves that's not going to sell? So
it's only going to sell to the Floridian folks, right? So that's it.
Exactly. You snowbirds.
Yes, exactly. Snowbird. Wait, I don't think you understand how snowbirds work.
You start in Maine, you go to Florida. That's.
All right, Wade. Sorry to hijack your show.
Yeah. When did this become my show? When did that happen?
We have to blame someone.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm good with that.
The other thing, though, is that's kind of happening in New Orleans too. People are really upset with how people are buying up real estate in New Orleans just to do Airbnb. So all these natives that live in New Orleans and have put time and energy into rebuilding New Orleans are getting pushed out by people that want to come down and party for 3 months and then sell their house for the rest of the year for Airbnb.
Well, in fairness, we only stay in Airbnbs that other people are actually living, that they actually live there. So there are extra units on their property. Because even when we stayed in Washington, it was over their garage. It was their unit over their garage that they were renting out to basically try to make rent for the rest because they're being pushed out.
Yeah.
We basically, when we were in Chicago, just did Airbnb and we only do it if we get the whole place.
Well, I mean, we do it if we get the whole place, but it's usually on someone else's that they're also living there, so it's an addition to their house,
right? And it's it's a different tirade, but what Airbnb and Uber and Lyft are doing to monetize every fucking moment of your life is not. I don't approve of it. But yeah, people have to do it. I know a lot of people that they'll actually like stay with friends on the weekends so they can get somebody to stay in their house, so they can make their fucking rent.
Yeah, that sucks.
And it's happening. I mean, Portland is where I am familiar with it because that's where I've lived for like the last 15 years. No, excuse me, almost 17 years now. But it is. But I know it's happening. In any city that people want to go to. I mean, pretty much. Especially with the way the economy is at the moment and the way housing is all over the place, you pretty much have to move to like Cleveland or Detroit if you want to like own a house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's interesting though is that it's a huge break for like going to Chicago, for example, in June. Our Airbnb was $79 a night, where a hotel was like $480.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we got in a residential neighborhood, and it was quiet, and most importantly, it was a block away from a bar. Not that that's a priority, but
well, speak for yourself.
So, you know, but yes, I totally see your point.
We'll need to do the Portland cast, except I'm sure there's like 1,000 of those.
Well,
in fact, let's do the Portland cast inside of the Weekend Justice cast, which would then be inside of a Mars Needs podcast cast, which would then be inside of another.
Just do a crossover where you record one big ass long podcast, and then half of it is on one site and half is on the other site.
I'm sure it's been done. Has Mark Maron done that yet? I'm pretty sure he has.
God knows. And if Hardwick did it, everybody's forgotten it because
yes.
I'll tell you how excited I am.
Let's not even go down that path.
Can I even begin to tell you how excited and happy I am that happened?
I'm a little happy about it myself.
Rich can back me up. I was saying years ago this guy was a fucking prick. Everyone thought I was just being petty and stupid.
Okay, well, listen.
But I am being.
I don't like his shtick that he does. But I also how do I phrase this? It sucks that it's going down in this manner. You know what I mean?
Well, the problem is now, you know, he from the start it was very forced and very controlled and very sort of like self-mocking of like people like us that like this culture. It was not by any means, it did not come off as being serious or respectful. It came off as, you know, I'm making money off you guys, or look at me, I'm cool, where I don't think it was really heartfelt. I mean, let's remember the guy came off of an MTV show with Jenny McCarthy where he basically sat around on the beach, right? So if this was like, you know, somebody that did a podcast or shows that was like actually like really, you know, watched more than the shows he gets paid to be on or read a book, I might feel sad. But one,
I feel sad because
it's been going around for a while. So, and he just always came off as being kind of smarmy, but that's just me.
Right. Well, I mean,
anytime someone who's smarmy and fake and a misogynist gets nailed to the fucking wall, I'm all for it. Sorry.
Yeah, yes, and I agree with you 100%. What sucks about it is that it's as dark as it is basically what I'm trying to get at. Is that I mean, I agree with you. I wasn't a big fan of his stuff. I didn't like his I didn't really like his style of interviewing.
Yeah.
And even though I made a joke earlier about Mark Maron, I'm not a big fan of his style of interviewing. Although I will say, in his defense of his particular podcast, not that he needs any defense, his seems more organic.
Yeah, that's one issue with a lot of.
But you're right. Is that I get you? I hear what you're saying about Hardwick, and that it wasn't necessarily organic. That it was more of a money grab. That it was like, oh, I see where this is going, and he had the foresight to kind of jump on it early. Earlier,
kind of done the Airbnb Uber thing to all the things that we like. You know, I mean, we've been slugging away with Need Coffee for almost 15, 20 years. And we make an effort, despite the madness and the chaos that ensues every time we do one of these things. We make an effort to be something that we really enjoy doing, and we are sincere in giving people that listen to it, those poor bastards, something that's worth their time and energy. I don't see him doing that. And
right, and that's where I say that it sucks the way that it's going down, because it had to, instead of it going down on its merits, it's going down on his personal life, and the fact that whether I'm not going to pass judgment. I'm going to side with the side that says that he was a dick, because it sort of seems like he might have been. Yeah. And again, I don't know all. I don't pretend to know all of his.
He doesn't know all the facts, and he does deserve
right,
quote unquote, day in court. I get that.
But it sucks that it's going down in that way as opposed to on its merits, is really what I'm saying.
Well, and the only things that I liked him from was his stand-up special, which I thought was fucking hilarious.
I saw him live. I saw him live in stand-up. It was at the they had, what was it, the Lollapalooza of stand-ups. I forget what it was called. And he was funny. It was shortly after his dad's death, and his dad lives down here in Florida. And he is humorous. It doesn't obviously does not excuse any behavior that is.
Oh, no. I'm just saying as a counterpoint to
but his comedy had nothing to do with being a geek, though.
No, I understand that. As a counterpoint to Rob's point, which is I always fucking hated that guy. My take on it is I think it sucks for everyone involved that that's happening, but I'm like, all I enjoyed was the stand-up, and I actually enjoyed At Midnight because it amused me greatly.
At Midnight is funny. Yeah. It was funny, but it wasn't really him. It was the
No. I know. I'm just saying I could see where he, may have been the force that brought it together, and it was much funnier than he was. All I'm saying is those were the things of his that I enjoyed, and I don't know of anything else of where he's been a prick. It would not surprise me in the least. But and I think it's I think it's fucking awful. What again, it's another one of these things where you just go, oh fuck, him too, Jesus.
Right. Yeah, because what I will say, we're four white guys talking about it on the internet, but
so why should it be any different now?
I consider myself to be an alabaster American. I've forsaken my whiteness because I'm
super whiteness.
I am super white from a pigmentation standpoint.
I referred to myself as translucent before.
Translucent American. Well done, sir.
But in the predominant, I'm not saying it in this group, but the predominant, like, we don't know all the facts, point of view tends to come from people who use the that bitch is crazy defense, and that needs to go away because that is a way of
I don't think she's crazy, and I agree with you that defense needs to go away. I don't think she's crazy. But I also and I tend to believe her more. I mean, because why would you put yourself out there like that?
Yeah, the thing is, he lost work and he needed to lose work. That was the right thing. The other thing I will say is one of the fastest ways to get me to dislike you is to be an asshole to my girlfriend. He was an asshole to my girlfriend, so fuck him.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Story for another time.
Yeah.
We just saw him live and he was an asshole. He he heckled her from on stage.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's not cool.
Where was this at?
Healing, Portland.
Oh, so it was actually a comedy stand. It was a stand-up thing.
He was taking questions. It's a real quick thing. He was taking questions from the audience and stuff, and they were talking about how the next person who had a late night show, because this was when there was talk about, I can't remember who had just retired, but there was going to be a new person up, and he was saying it should be a guy of color, and he kept saying it should be a guy of color because to diversify things. And my girlfriend's, because he was like, because some of us here are not white, and he was like, and some of us are women, or then she said some of us are women. He was like, yeah, what of it, basically.
Oh well. Oh, speaking of, never mind. I'll save it for recommendations.
Well, yeah. the only thing I want to say about the whole the idea of not believing the other person is what was that?
Oh, I think we're hearing someone's echo. That's what's going on.
Well, basically, I just know that at some point one of these is going to turn out to be fake because it's just a matter of time. Now, but the thing is, all the ones that I've seen, what's that?
I mean, it is possible, but at what point which is why being the white guy that I am, white middle-aged guy, nonetheless, that I am, you know, I urge caution when talking about these things, but I also say, you know, people, if something turns out to be false, it does nobody any good, right? But it will come out at some point as being false, and then that story will get told.
Oh, great.
So I tend to believe the person telling the story of something that is obviously embarrassing and
I understand
before I believe the person is trying.
My point being is that if you look at, I'm just saying that none of the things that I've seen so far, like even the ones where I didn't want to believe it, where I go, oh fuck, like John Lasseter. I mean, halfway through that article, I'm like, oh shit, this is true. Holy fuck, there's too much overwhelming evidence. But I am more of I'm less of a, oh well, she's obviously lying and he's telling the truth. Then my whole take on it is simply, I don't know what's going on here yet because there's not enough information, or I'm not in the middle of it. But my only thing would be that if my caution that I stress is that with the atmosphere the way it is, you could do irreparable damage to someone from a career standpoint, and I don't want to see anyone that happen to anyone innocent. Now the guilty, fuck yes. I absolutely want to see that go down because that is fucked up and ridiculous. But my caution is, I just want to go, let's not leap to anybody's conclusion until there's enough evidence. And then generally what's happened is 5 minutes later, there's enough evidence. And I just go, okay, yeah, that's overwhelming. That's fuck. All right. Yeah.
I tend to give the person the benefit of the doubt, but now it's to the point where so many people before they're calling out people are like, here's A, B, C, D, and E, you know, and that I think you're right that something easily could happen, but I think a lot of these people are smarter now. They're realizing that, you know, if they're going after a big name, they better have a loaded gun, you know.
Well, you notice how in the letter about the anonymous person, she basically said, you know, I hope you don't come after me for saying this because I have audio and video that proves it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit. So no, I agree with you. The other thing that I don't want to see happen is I don't want there to be a fake one. I don't want there to be a fake one because then all the assholes will use that as leverage for everyone that comes after that to go, oh, this is just another, you know, girl who cried wolf situation. But no, that's my only take on it is I want to make sure the guilty are punished, but make sure that we know who the guilty are first. And then, punish the shit out of them.
And it's not a good thing that the wrong person sometimes gets persecuted for a murder they didn't commit, but we still persecute murder. So, you know, it's still something that, you know, that's why I was saying, you know, he needed to lose work because, you know, he hasn't lost all of his work, but the work he lost needed to be lost. And, you know, and God knows his podcast hasn't come out in a while. And I'll bet he's really wishing he hadn't rebranded it to Idiot. Because he lost the Nerdist license and and so he turned it to ID10T, which is Idiot.
Right.
Yep.
BBC America got really smart and didn't put him on a panel at Comic-Con with the first female Doctor Who. That was probably a really smart move.
Well done. Well done.
If he's smart, he won't go to Comic-Con this year at all. He'll just lay down just disappear for a little while. For fuck's sake. Anyway, I didn't mean to completely derail. Recommendation.
No. Widge got several texts from me about how happy I was about this. So, and I felt really bad that I wished evil upon another human being, but you know, then I was like, no, I'm all right.
When I saw him live and he spent half of the time we were there trying to convince the audience he was a nice guy, and then he was, you know, rude to some of the people, not just my girlfriend, but he was rude to some of the people that he was, you know, doing crowd work with. I just was like, oh man, you're a prick. Okay.
You know,
in fairness, when I saw him, it was weirdly enough also was Aziz Ansari, was also on that bill. Anyway,
But story when it came out, it was just kind of pathetic. It wasn't, it was bad, but it also was something that was pretty easily, if Aziz had handled it right, which I don't think he did, it was something Aziz could have come back from pretty easily because he just wasn't suave.
Yeah.
Wrong, but also not suave.
Yeah, the only thing that could have made that bill worse was that if what's his name? I can't remember his name now.
Louis C.K.
If Louis C.K. was headlining, yes, that would have been the only thing that would have made
and it was the moderated by Kevin Spacey.
Oh God.
But no, what I wanted to say about Hardwick was that the thing that I saw was he did 15 minutes of just straight stand up. So I didn't see any crowd work or anything like that. So like I said, I mean, there's no denying he's talented. I don't think that's in definition, but or in debate. Although Rob might disagree with me, I think he's talented. I just it doesn't mean that you can't that you're not a dick.
Oh no, absolutely not. In fact, a lot of talented people
Johnny
are
Depp.
dicks.
Yeah.
And some of what came across is that he's just incredibly driven. That he has maybe some personality disorders and he's ridiculously driven. And and that still doesn't mean that you're not a dick, but it's not against the law.
Right.
And certainly even when he was in what he did in that room where I saw him, where he was kind of rude to some of the people, he was just kind of rude. He didn't sexually assault anyone.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear.
Well, I mean, that would have been a very strange special on television, to be sure.
I did watch The Usual Suspects, and I don't think anybody got sexually assaulted. So, yeah, I think that worked out.
On screen.
And the sexual assault that she described is kind of...
It's a controlling...
Yeah.
It's a very fucked up...
Creepy.
Yes.
Yeah. It is definitely sexual assault, but it's not the... necessary. I don't want to. You know what? I'm a white guy. I don't understand anything I'm saying, so I'm going to shut up now.
All I'm going to say is, if I pulled that shit on my wife, I'd get my ass kicked and fed to me. So,
right, but that's not really the point, though, right? Is it? Because your wife, that's your dynamic. Right?
I know.
And
but I'm looking at it from my dynamic and making my own opinions.
I have a 17-year-old daughter, and I fear for who's going off to college, and I fear for her life, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I have always said that someone's relationship is defined by the boundaries that the two people involved put upon that relationship, but that's the key, is it has to be the two people involved in that relationship.
Yeah.
Anyway, white guys talking about things we can't possibly understand.
Sorry.
More than two people, because polyamory is a thing. I'm not wired that way, so I'll just say the people involved in that relationship.
Yeah,
people involved in that relationship.
I think everyone's probably a jerk and a creep. So, I'm bitter and jaded. Perhaps you've noticed this.
What? No.
I'm shocked. This is my shocked face.
Okay.
Burritos are good. Burritos are really good. Pizza's good. Pasta's sometimes fun. Just happy thing. Flowers are good. Squirrels.
You know what else is good? Recommendations is great.
He-Man.
Recommendations?
Yeah. Who wants to go first? Get us out of here. Drive us out of here.
I only have two quick ones.
Hit me.
If you like old school horror flicks, I really liked Heritage.
How is it?
Wait, fuck, what is the name of the film? It's
Hereditary.
Hereditary. God damn it. Words leave me. It is not at all the film that it is previewed to be. And it's very much pacing wise, it's almost like a 70s style, century changeling kind of film. It's a film that, if the fantasy / horror element was taken out, it's still a very good film. So I liked it a lot.
I'm gonna see it this weekend, and I've been waiting to see it because I wanted to see what people whose opinions I respect thought of it first, because I didn't want to just go see another horror thing.
And JJ, he's still waiting to hear from people he respects.
Hey, JJ likes a lot of things that are outside of my realm of things I know, so I take his opinion very seriously.
Did you see The Witch?
No, I did not. Should I?
Well, The Witch is a very polarizing film. The Witch is very, very quiet, and I saw it with a terrible crowd. But it's one of those films that, as long as you don't go into it with this expectation of this film is going to be life-changingly scary, I liked it. But I also am someone that can appreciate deliberate pacing and performances, and sometimes a film can be saved by just like how long they hold a single shot or something like that. Like I said, I'm the weirdo that in Man of Steel was like, why is Rob Zombie doing these interstitials in this film? Just because the language of film changes the tone for me quite a bit.
And honestly, Rob Zombie would have made a better Man of Steel, I'm thinking.
It would have been fucking great. The soundtrack would have kicked ass.
True.
But so there are some similarities between Hereditary, why I can't say that all of a sudden, and The Witch. The Witch also stars the chick who's going to play Ilyana in The New Mutants if it ever comes out. It is also in Thoroughbreds, which was one of my favorite films of this year.
What's that, Rob?
Love that movie.
Yeah, Thoroughbreds is amazing. The blonde chick from Thoroughbreds is in The Witch. So anyway, yeah, I thought it was I thought it was a very interesting horror film, and as long as you go into it knowing that it's a horror film, and the fact that it is kind of a dread film as opposed to there's like really no jump scares there, it's unsettling more than it is like holy shit what's happening next.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a horror film as opposed to a straight thriller.
Yes.
Yes.
This is
The other thing I have that I was going to recommend is a book that my girlfriend just picked up. So my girlfriend just went to a book fair of sorts in New Orleans last week for business. And so I don't know if this book has come out or not. I don't know if this is a pre-sale copy or not, but it's a graphic memoir of sorts, I believe, called Be Prepared by Vera Brosgol, Brosgol. She also did a great comic called Leave Me Alone that was like a Russian witch. It's pretty cool. But this is the story of a poor kid who goes to a Russian camp, and it's really well written and really funny, and it really hurts in a lot of spots. Just the opening scene of her going to a rich friend's birthday party where everybody has the expensive toys and got her friend like the expensive toys, and then she was like, "Here's what I gave you. I drew a picture of us." And it just, growing up a poor kid, it felt a little too real. It's really good. Really good. Ding.
Cool. Thanks, JJ.
No problem. I'm probably going to disappear because I got some stuff to do.
All right. Enjoy. All right, Rob, what you got?
Okay, which I sent you mine too, just to make it easy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just that way. So the first thing I want to recommend is I'm not really sure why this is happening, but I'm not going to complain. They've released Tom Baker's first season as Doctor Who on Blu-ray, and so basically you get everything from Robot through Revenge of the Cybermen and a ton of new extras on Blu-ray. So if you want to see what classic Doctor Who looks like, Bad Monsters and all on Blu-ray, by all means. And it's an interesting season because you get to see Baker sort of develop his persona as the Doctor as the season goes on. And the stories are actually more elaborate and a little more put a little more thought into making that season cohesive than you might have expected. So that's the first thing. Then since Tuffley's not here to walk on my picks, I'm gonna first start off, Johnny Marr has a new record out called Call the Comet. It's probably the best thing he's done in ages. It's really, really good. So I want to recommend that. Also, the new Beach House record. It's called Seven. It's really, really mellow, and it's got sort of a nice little vibe going to it. So it's really great. So I recommend that. And then a band from Australia called Rolling Blackouts Coastal Fever. They have an album called Hope Downs that I really like as well. So if you're a big fan of like really good sort of melodic rock and roll, that's kind of where you want to go. And then on kind of a sad note to end out recommendations, the weird thing is I was actually reading this the day that everything sort of went down. But I love the book so much I wanted to put it on the recommendation list, despite the fact that it's sad. I do want to recommend Anthony Bourdain's A Cook's Tour. It's sort of like his travel book of different places and different things that's happened to him. And, you know, it's just the biggest knee in the fucking balls that's happened in a very long time, because there's just some people that are just so full of life and cool and sort of have this vibe to them that you just don't think anything bad's going to happen to them. And that was Anthony Bourdain, and it's very sad. So there you go.
All right. Thank you, Rob.
Yep.
John, what you got?
Okay, so I got two things. First, on Netflix, I'd like to recommend The Break with Michelle Wolf. This is the thing that I just realized that I wanted to hold off on when I was talking to when we were talking just a little bit ago. Michelle Wolf, who wrote for Seth Meyers, and she also wrote for Trevor Noah. It's about 7 episodes in. Her first couple episodes, I mean, it got rough, but you can see that she's sort of finding her feet as a host for a Netflix series, which is a nice change for Netflix. I think it's one of the areas where Netflix has to go to sort of continue to be something that people more of a real television station, if you will, for lack of a better term, network. But her half hour weekly show is really good. Not John Oliver good, but in the same vein. So, say that again, Rob.
I saw her stand up, and it's really fucking hilarious.
Yeah, she's really funny.
She's really good. And by the way, something else came out on Netflix today, at least that I saw, which is CNN contributor his stand up. Okay, what is his name? Oh, I should look it up before I start talking. But anyway, Michelle Wolf's The Break with Michelle Wolf is really, really good. Also, for a summer read, I picked up At Powell's when I was in Portland. So I'm gonna be the Scott of this podcast and say I'm only halfway through the book, but it's really good. And I liked his the previous book that I read of his, which is A. Lee Martinez's Monster, which is it's very much in the vein of Douglas Adams and Pratchett. That sort of sensibility about sci-fi and horror, which is sort of a comedy, sci-fi horror type book. About this guy who basically goes around catching monsters in the real world, and he himself is a monster. In fact, his name is Monster. I read very little, as we've established before, but for a summer read, I would recommend this. It's from 2009 or 10 or something like that. It's an older book, but I picked it up again at Powell's for $5. I liked Gill's All Fright Diner, which is the previous book I read of his. And so I picked this one up, and yeah, it's really, really enjoyable. You can also get it in a Kindle edition if you go to needcoffee.com/hey, John read something.com. Yeah, you'll be able to get it there too.
John is correct that all the stuff, well, generally that we talk about here, is available through Amazon. If you go to needcoffee.com/Amazon, then you will wind up on the front page of Amazon like you've gone to the front page of Amazon, but we will get kickbacks for you doing so. So we recommend doing that because it helps keep the lights on. Real quick, my recommendations. Night of the Lepus is coming out on Blu-ray, I think for the first time. It's horrible. You need it. Giant killer rabbits. Yes. Also, 2 albums. Ty Segall puts out a new album, I think, every 6 weeks. The most recent one is called Freedom's Goblin, which I really enjoy. It's got a fantastic cover of Everyone's a Winner on it. And all of his stuff is really, really choice. Also, the new 9 Inch Nails, Bad Witch, is...
See how I left that for you?
What's that?
See how I left that for you?
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's really choice. On the second verse of the first song, when the horns kick in, it sounds like a brass section in hell. It's like, oh, it's tasty. So I recommend that as well. What's that? Oh, I thought someone. I can't. There's some echo coming through.
Yeah.
It's a palm reader. It's a palm reader from before. I'm sure. But yes, we've managed to make it across the finish line of another episode of Weekend Justice. And as we stand here in the smoking crater that was our Tuesday evening, I think it's time to take a moment to reflect on what we've learned, which is obviously very little, and simply say, villains.
Villains, villain night.
Villains.
With all the gusto that Rob could muster, he said villains.
Well, you know.
Rob's very efficient. He's saving his energy.
Yes, I have to.
He has to. He also hibernates for 3 months out of the year.
Yes.
That's why he can't just go around giving fucks left and right. He's gotta conserve his fucks.
Yeah, exactly. Hibernating for 3 months of the year would be great. Just skip it.
If you could pick, I'd like to hibernate through summer because it's too hot.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah.
So, you know, life goals. Hashtag life goals.
Nice.
Oh God. All right. We should run away.
Yes.
Because I need to pee.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys. Good night, all.
Stay out of trouble.
Oh God, must I?
Yes. Someone has to have to tell the tale. Night, Johnny.
Good night. See
Nice
ya.
Disco light, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Waiting for Rip Taylor to pop out and say hi. Yeah, thank you.
He already did. You missed it. He came out earlier. He's old. He has to go back to bed. Good night.